it can be recalled that the former Secretary of the Government of the Federation, SGF, Mr. Baba Chulawa Mohammed, on the 10th of June 2016, announced the dissolution of the executive management of the Niger Delta Power Company by the federal government. And the former MD was asked to hand over to Mr. Tinubu, who was appointed acting managing director of the company. Strangely and shockingly, the SGF also directed Mr. Dana Mohammed to hand over the most senior officer in the department, even though she's not an executive cadre and an executive manager, but a staff of the company for over 24 years. Curiously, there were 12 other general managers of the same status as Mariam Dana Mohammed that were allowed to remain in their position, obviously because they were staff of the company and not members of the federal, dissolved executive management. This obviously makes the decision to disengage her without committing any offense discriminatory and unfair. There is another petition also from the Parliament of the disengaged executive directors of the Niger Delta Power Company on wrongful disengagement and wrongful computation of their benefits. As therefore, seek your permission to read out the petitions.
Please proceed and lay the petition. Any more? Honorable Patterson will be the last petition presenter.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I am Comrade Peter O'Hion Patterson. I represent the great people of Akoko Edo Federal Constituency. Mr. Speaker, I'm from the cradle of one man, one vote, Edo State. I have a petition from some of my constituents in respect of procurement irregularities at the Federal Ministry of Agriculture. Mr. Speaker, the petition is about some irregularities that have, one way or the other, deprived eligible contractors from participating in a process where they have clearly demonstrated their competence, provided all the requisite documents, made the necessary technical bids, but yet were excluded in order to ensure that those contracts favor predetermined bidders. They consider that this is unfair and should not be allowed. And as a result of that, they have asked that I present it before the House. May I have your permission to lay the petition, sir?
Please proceed and lay the petition. All petitions refer to the Committee on Public Petitions. Our honorable colleagues, let me use this opportunity to welcome to the Green Chambers once again a former colleague, now the Deputy Governor of Edo State, His Excellency, retired former Comrade Philip Shuaibu. And members of your entourage, you are welcome. You are highly welcome to the Green Chambers. You can see that it's very friendly because one of you is our ambassador. And he did very well. And I'm happy to say that while he was a member, even though he served briefly. I hope that in the future you still come back here. If not the green, maybe you move to red, depending on which color you like. So you're welcome. I have before me a letter, an announcement from Honorable E.J. Aboima, and it's quite an epistle. But my job here is to read the letter sent to me by any member. So I plead with you to be a bit patient while we listen to his epistle. So this epistle, according to Saint Honorable E.J. Aboyima, letter of notification of my resignation from the People's Democratic Party and my defection to the All Progressive Congress, APC. One house, please. One house. Let me read the epistle, please. Respectfully, Mr. Speaker, and my dear honorable colleagues, precisely at about 7:30 a.m. today, I forwarded a letter to my ward chairman. Please let's listen to the epistle. Respectfully, Mr. Speaker, and my dear honorable colleagues, precisely at about 7:30 a.m. today, I forwarded a letter to my ward chairman, Ward 6, in the Popa Oha local government of my formal resignation from the People's Democratic Party. You may recall that I belong to the Senator Ali Modi Sharif faction of the PDP during the period of our struggle to reposition the party and take it back to the people. May further recall, Mr. Speaker, my honorable colleagues, that at the convention of the party on 9th of December 2017, we did not participate. We were maligned, threatened with suspension and proclamation of amnesty. The hope that the party would be given a new leaf of life was dashed. The party was factionalized by the concocted unity lists of some governors against our faithful senior stakeholders and members. A foremost, honest, and loyal aspirant of the position of national chairman of the party has instituted an action in court challenging the leadership that emerged at the convention, seeking the court to nullify the election at the convention, thus further putting the party into deeper crisis and factionalization with a new secretariat. Mr. Speaker, sir, my honorable colleagues, following extensive consultation with leaders and political faithful from my federal constituency and my senatorial district, I've reached this irrevocable decision to tender my resignation from the People's Democratic Party. Following the affirmation, time has come that the reality cannot be hidden. The PDP has shut the door against me. In view of this, therefore, I make bold to declare, Mr. Speaker, and my honorable colleagues, that I have no alternative but to heed the call of my constituents to resign my membership of the People's Democratic Party and align and declare my membership to All Progressive Congress, a party better position to better the loads of my constituents. Thank you and God bless you. Always accept the assurances of my highest esteem. As always, Honorable Ehezua Johnson Aboyima, EJ. Point of order from Deputy Minority Leader. The newest APC member. There's a point of deputy minority leader. No, you cannot speak. I've cut it off, so you cannot talk, please.
Okay, no. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Honorable Frank.
We are very glad that
I get to voice.
Deputy minority leader.
Am I protected, Mr. Speaker?
Shame! Oh my God! A tumor has been removed from PDP.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Deputy minority leader.
Mr. Speaker, my order. It might shock you, Mr. Speaker, that my point of order.
Honorable colleagues, please let's listen to the deputy minority leader's point of order so we can move on. Can you speak to your mic?
In spite of the unconstitutional move that was just made by my brother EJ, we of the PDP extractors are actually very happy that the tumor, you know when you have cancer and it's a tumor and it's cancerous and it has left you. So I'm actually rising from this bye-bye. So sir, because we're actually happy that he has gone and that we don't want we actually rise. As you can see, Mr. Speaker, we are happy. Yes. Today is the happiest day in life for PDP. So, Mr. Speaker, we are very happy and we want to So we are very happy that when one person leaves you and your house becomes better. These are, and we're expecting that those of our brothers on the other side of the divide that have indicated interest immediately will come back. You're all welcome. Honorable EJ, bye-bye.
Well, no. Members, one house, please. One house so that we can move on. Honorable EJ, you will not be recognized to raise any point of order. Honorable Sunday, you don't have a seat again. Please, can you locate your seat and take a seat, please? Honorable colleagues, even though no member here is actually a cancer, I believe that is why Honorable EJ wants to raise a point of order, because he was referred to as a cancer. But you know it's a case of a bitter divorce. So let's just take it like that. Honorable EJ rightly pointed out that you shut the door against him. And you choose the baddest time of the year to do it in the winter. So if it's too cold and he leaves, that's it. So you know in divorce, name calling would normally take place. So it is quite in order in the spirit of a bitter divorce. Okay, so we will move on, Honorable EJ. No, it's okay. It's okay, so we understand why that happened. And Honorable Shaibu, you can take your leave now. And thank you very much. We hope to see you here once again when the need arises. I'll move to point of order from Honorable Nenna.
It's not working. Point of order. Point of order, Mr. Speaker. I come under underage rule 5.
Order.
Please, Honorable Babajimi, who are there? Your Excellency, if you can do your consultation outside, it's better.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, sir, for recognizing me and yielding to me. My name is Nana 11 KJ. I come under 8 Rule 5, personal explanation, and with your permission, Mr. Speaker, sir, I shall proceed.
Are we permitted to participate in what you are sharing? Honorable Chinda, we are all waiting for our turn. It's like you are sharing something important there. Okay, you are welcome. Honorable Nenna, please.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, sir. As I said, I come under personal explanation, order 8, Rule 5. And Mr. Speaker, sir, I find it expedient to do that at this time, as this is the last legislative day before the birthday of Mr. Speaker when he turns half a millennium. So, Mr. Speaker, sir, with your permission, and I recognize that I put you in a sticky situation because this may appear immodest because you're presiding, but I shall ask that you indulge me, Mr. Speaker, sir, and give me 2 minutes within which to say a few things about Yakubu Dogara. Mr. Speaker, sir, I'd ask that you please suspend the rules and allow me to take this matter as a personal explanation. This is personal to me because I consider it to be my friend, and I'm sure lots of our colleagues here would have 1 or 2 things to say. I'm sorry to put you in this situation, but Mr. Speaker, sir, unfortunately, you are the presiding officer and you shall preside over this. Thank you.
Oh, wow. I don't know where to go to. Honorable Hassan.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Since it's personal explanation, let her make her personal explanation. If there's any need, there's no need to do it as a personal motion. There's no motion yet. Let's listen to the personal explanation.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, sir, for yielding to me as I ask that you waive the rules and allow me the latitude to do what you would not normally do. Today, my dear colleagues, I rise to celebrate one of the most patriotic, engaging personalities I've had the opportunity of serving with. I have the great honor of calling Speaker Dogara colleague and also the honor of calling him friend. He calls me his wicked sister and I him my wicked brother. This is had in the place all the time to tell the story behind that name. Speaker Dogara represents one of our very best. His consistency and commitment to the country can only stem from a place of deep patriotic, unapologetic zeal. Our relationship has not been without its glitches. I have at times disagreed with him, but I had never found him disagreeable. I have watched him differ with a good number of members, but he has hardly ever shown disrespect to any. Yakubu Dogara has proudly served his people with dedication, passion, and distinction. He is an outstanding advocate for the counter-terrorism war in the Northeast and never misses an opportunity to weave into any conversation on any subject matter the plight of the internally displaced people in his region. The compassionate side of him, which is hardly ever on display, as he's notorious for his all-shucks demeanor, like the one you have on your face right now, Mr. Speaker, was unabashedly displayed when the novelty match in his honor in celebration of his birthday was played. There was no elegance in the way he solicited funds from the guests in the hope that the funds raised could in some way alleviate the plight of the vulnerable people who are victims in this senseless war. His stellar legislative ability was deployed in the sponsor of the Northeast Development Bill, and he has fought vigorously and succeeded across the aisle to build coalitions so as to increase funding for that region. In spite of his personal relationships with people in the private sector, he has sponsored and galvanized support for the codification of the antitrust laws to regulate the business environment in an attempt to eradicate the monopoly in same. He has shown sensitivity towards women's rights and has agreed to be an advocate for the gender agenda and to co-sponsor the bill on the affirmative action. This, by the way, is a conversation I am still yet to have with him. His stirring leadership has driven the progress of the House of Representatives and has strengthened the role of Parliament in our democracy. By my reckoning, he has done very well for half a century and continues to do so. I can only wish you, Mr. Speaker, my brother and my friend, as the Irish do, that may your hands, Dogara, always be stretched out in friendship and never in want. And as you slide down the banister of life, may the splinters never be directed in the wrong way. Happy birthday, Mr. Speaker.
So that's all. Does anyone want to say? I don't think you can add or subtract from this. Put the speaker on to speak. Okay. The deputy speaker.
Thank you, right, Honorable Speaker. The first that I will say, my name is Lasu Yusuf. I represent the record to Olorunda, Orodo Shukufara constituency. I'm from the state of Osun. Don't say it. First, I think I'm one of the very few that is in the best position to welcome you to that group of people who are already 50 years and above. It's a privileged group. And so, Mr. Speaker, you are welcome. You will find the group very, very interesting. That is when you begin to take care of every steps you want to take every morning, and you have to attend personally, not through anybody, to your health, and you make sure you eat healthy so that you can live longer. the same time, when you attain the age of 50, it comes with a lot of experience. And of course, going by your profile, you have amassed a lot of experience over time. Because as a lawyer, as a legislator, and today as somebody who is well positioned in the Nigerian political and governance system, I think one cannot but wish you well. Yes, your birthday is December 26th, but because we are going to adjourn before that day, we have to celebrate one of our own. Like Inena said, I've interacted with you in the last close to 7 years, and I've discovered that you are one of the very few who takes his work very, very, very seriously. You are diligent, meticulous, and in fact, when you want to criticize others, you do it with a lot of humility. So, Mr. Speaker, like I said, I'm welcoming you to that group. And like I said, the leader is here, Wali Raji is here. Those are the people that I'm sure that are already in the group. And okay, Roti Yakuso is here. Roti. No, okay, Jeff is here. Okay, Jeff is a small boy. Shagari is here. I think family one will be very well. I wouldn't know of Shagari Mohammed. So, Mr. Speaker, we are all happy for you, and we wish you the best of everything in life, and we wish you to keep climbing the ladder of success in life. But at age 50, like you said yesterday, you can't retire us because you have joined us now. And not too young to run, incidentally has caught up with you too. But we don't know where to put you. But definitely not too young to run has caught up with you. But it is good to be 50. And it is good to be 50 in a style that you have attained your own 50 as the Speaker of the House of Representatives of Nigeria. How I wish that I can rewind the hand of the clock. And I was what I am today when I was 52. So, honorable colleagues, let us all join hands together to celebrate our own. And I know December 26th, by the special grace of God, is going to come, and we are all going to be there. Mr. Speaker, we wish you happy birthday in advance, and we wish you many more years to come. And like I pray, wish you success, and for you to be able to easily climb the ladder of life. Once again, Mr. Speaker, welcome to that group of people who, and let me end by this quotation. When I was young and I was looking for what to do, and see how success is attained in life, somebody wrote, men are their best during their 40s and 50s. And I know that you will understand that. Welcome and happy birthday. Men is in generic form, so women are included too. Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity.
House Leader, I thought when you were inducting me into the club of senior citizens, it will come with a lot of goodies. You didn't make reference to that.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues. Mr. Speaker, my friend, my colleague, and let me dare say my younger brother. Let me, on behalf of the entire 359 members, wish you a happy birthday in advance. Honorable Nena Ukeje caught us all by surprise. She has covered all the bases. But let me just add one or two things. Mr. Speaker, in the 7th Assembly, you were a friend and a colleague. And we did a few things together, we collaborated together on a few landmark legislation. Today, you are a brother. Your political dexterity, Mr. Speaker, was evidence the way in your usual sneaky way, came from behind to win the speakership election. Mr. Speaker, for that, Mr. Speaker, all of us across the aisle, APC, PDP, will give you kudos. And from that point, you have been able to glue this house together. You have been able to move this house forward. And I congratulate you. Mr. Speaker, I only have one prayer. And it is a very profound one. And I will say to you, may the best days of your past be the worst days of your future. Congratulations.
I've just been told that Honorable Boni just turned 52 today. So congratulations, Honorable Boni. Other than congratulating you, do you want to congratulate yourself? Okay. Honorable Boni.
Right Honorable Speaker, Yakubu Dogara, Initiator of Northeast Development Commission, a lawyer, our amiable Speaker, God makes Speaker, democratically elected Speaker, a man of peace, a compassionate person. Today marks a milestone in the life of our amiable and indefatigable Speaker, Right Honorable Yakubu Dogara, who clocks the golden age of 50s. Mr. Speaker, I am always saying here, God knows. If, for example, in 8th Assembly, is somebody not you presiding over this your chair, this your seat, definitely Nigerians will cry. But thank God, God give us Right Honorable Yakubu Dogara as our 8th Speaker of the House of Representatives. When we come on board, we met this house with crisis beyond our control. But the quality of your leadership today in this house, no PDP, no APC, because I'm always proud of being a member of the House of Representatives in the 8th Assembly, especially our colleagues from PDP. Mr. Speaker, sir, under your leadership, I cannot remember that a member from PDP rejected whatever you brought, whether politically or not politically. They are always with us. They are working with you, and I have to appreciate the quality of your leadership. Mr. Speaker, our people say no one has traveled the road of success without crossing the street of failure. God has never given us an easy journey, only a safe journey. Mr. Speaker, we know that by the grace of God, you cross the street of failure. Congratulations, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. I think, okay, Honorable Toby and then the minority whip will round up.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues. My name is Toby Okechukwu. I represent an area of Wojiriba Federal Constituency from Enugu State. Mr. Speaker, I want to thank our sister Nena for bringing this to the floor. They say that 50 is the beginning of old age. But in your golden age, Mr. Speaker, you've come to achieve and do for this House and for Nigerians things that are done by septuagenarians. Mr. Speaker, not many of us know that you represent the first Prime Minister of this country. Not many of us know that you represent Tafawa Balewa Federal Constituency. I have had the opportunity of going to that constituency during our oversight functions, and I witnessed the spirit with which the people hold you in high esteem. And this is a man who, under any circumstance, under any political party, even if he runs as an independent, from what I witnessed from his people and quality representation, he will always come back. Mr. Speaker, I've had the opportunity of witnessing the comments of people from Das and from Bogu, communities that you represent. And it says a lot to what a true representative and a true leader should be. We want to congratulate you for your 50th birthday, because I know you're a man of letters, and you brought a lot of intellect in the leadership of this House. We know from our beginning how tumultuous it was and how your quality representation has gone a long way in building bridges. The color and character of your leadership is the type and quality that we should expect in this country. Having done so at under 50, we wish you that you do so in much more amplified form as we move on. I remember very well that you were pivotal to the motion that is about and has been put to the bill that has changed and will change the temperament, the structure, and the nature of the Northeast, the Northeast Development Commission. You have, by that bill and act, the nature of that environment is going to change. And this is something that we look onto, that will change the behavior and attitude as we restore peace and we restore the infrastructure in that part of the country. It is fundamental that you lead our colleagues in making sure that that is achieved. I know that as we move on, you will bring that to bear in the rest of our communities in Nigeria. So we wish you the very best as we move on in life. I think you just have gone half of the journey. The future is bright, and I'm sure you will move with all equanimity. Congratulations.
Minority Whip will round up.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My name is Yabu Umar Brody. I represent Chikun Kechuru Federal Constituency. I'm from Kaduna State. Mr. Speaker, I want to congratulate you and congratulate the State Assembly for having a leader like you. Mr. Speaker, you came from a very humble background. You represent the people of Bogo, Tafawa Balewa from Bauchi State. For some of us who did not know you, and for some of us who have known you for quite some years, many will agree with me that you are a born leader. Mr. Speaker, it will interest members here if I say what you told me sometime when I was riding with you in your vehicle. And you told me how God has led you from your infancy, where God has shown you things, and by the grace of God, you've come to materialize. Mr. Speaker, it shows that you are godly inclined. God hears you, and God listens to you. Therefore, Mr. Speaker, it's a time for you at this stage to think of bringing leaders who are younger than you, including me here, so that at 50, we'll be able to say, yes, we have a leader that groomed us. Mr. Speaker, you've been doing that. And I want to congratulate you particularly about something that happened in this house. Mr. Speaker, you are a minority in Nigeria. You break the barrier of tribe. You break the barrier of religion. And you break the barrier of religion. You were voted for unanimously by the members of this Plenary Assembly. Mr. Speaker, it's a lesson if we want our democracy to endure, that every constituency should look for leaders regardless of their religion, regardless of their tribe. It is only by so doing, Mr. Speaker, Nigeria's democracy will develop further and develop Nigeria as a whole. Mr. Speaker, I congratulate you. In the little while you've held as Speaker, you've galvanized this House. Like has been said by my colleagues here, there is no members of PDP or from any opposition party that has found you wanting. And that was why, during the election period, majority of people in PDP saw a leader in you, and unanimously we went for you. Mr. Speaker, we are not regretting. Even as minority, we are proud of you. We cannot have a better speaker, because you have held the House with fairness. You treated people equally, and you don't have bias of religion or tribe. Mr. Speaker, if you continue our political party, Mr. Speaker, if you continue like this, my prayer is that you should go beyond this. You should go beyond sitting on this green chair, but you sit in the red chair. And that's my prayer for you. Congratulations, my Speaker. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much, honorable colleagues. The birthday is not today, it comes on the 26th of this month, and because it's coming at the height of festivity, those of us who will be able to make time and come will appreciate. Those that may not be able to attend, we will understand. But I love that we have majority of us at the function on 26th, where the function festivity will start with the church service at 9 o'clock, and then some visitation and outreaches to charity organizations, motherless babies within FCT, and then that will climax with the reception, which will start by the organizers at about 2. So I want to thank you, honorable colleagues, for the love you have shown to me, for the support you have given me. As a matter of fact, I don't even know how this birthday reception is being organized. The entire responsibility has been taken over from me by the members. And, I cannot appreciate, I don't know the actual words in English with which to convey the depth of gratitude that I owe to our colleagues who are sacrificing time and resources to put this event together. The way you have celebrated me, I pray that God will always cause a situation where you will always be celebrated, and in your houses, in your homes, in your families, there will always be a reason to celebrate. Thank you, and God bless you all. We have a point of order from Honorable Abdul Samad. Are you prepared to move your motion today? Okay, you can take it today. Okay, not now, not now. I was just asking you a question. So, Chairman rules are business. Chairman rules Chairman, rules and business. Please move that we suspend the rules to take 3 matters of urgent public importance.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. OKJ, I represent the good people of Guru, my dear colleagues, and from Benue State. Mr. Speaker, I move that we suspend for the age Group 4 to allow the House to take more than 2 matters of urgent public importance. I so move.
Seconder, Honorable Dada, since you are seated close to him.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Speaker, for granting me the privilege. My name is Abiodun Dada Uleye. I represent Ibadan North Federal Constituency. I'm from Oyo State. I hereby second that we suspend the relevant rule of the House to be able to move another matter of urgent public importance. I so move.
Those in favor of the motion say aye. Those against it say nay. Ayes have it. First matter of urgent public importance, Honorable Prestige OC.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker, my distinguished colleagues. My motion is on the urgent need to investigate the allegations of unwarranted harassment, persecution, and threat to life by DCP Abdulwari S. Lafia of the Nigerian Police Academy, Udio Kano, against the persons of the office of the Inspector General of Police. I so move, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Gadaka.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I am Honorable Ismail Ahmed Gadaka, member representative of Plenary Federal Constituency for Oyo State. I rise to support the motion heavily moved by Honorable Speaker. I so support.
Those in favor of the motion say aye. Those against it say nay. Ayes have it. Second name of the motion, the matter be taken today. Anyone from this row? Honorable Shekarau.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues. My name is Honorable Asa Adamu Shekarau. I represent Plenary Federal Constituency. I am from Kaduna State. Mr. Speaker, I rise to support the second leg of the motion as ably moved by my colleague. I so support Mr. Speaker.
Those in favor of the motion say aye. Those against it say nay. Ayes have it. Honorable Prestige, please move your motion.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and my honorable colleagues. The urgent need to investigate the allegations of unwarranted harassment, persecution, and threat to life by DCP Abdulwari S. Lafia of the Nigerian Police Academy, Udio Kano, against the person and office of the Inspector General of Police. The House is aware that the Nigerian Police is the principal law enforcement agency in Nigeria, vested with the constitutional duty of maintaining law and order in Nigeria. Aware also that part of the functions of the Nigerian Police is enunciated in the Police Act, which includes the prevention and detection of crime, the apprehension of offenders, the protection of lives and property. Further aware that the Police Code of Conduct demands accountability from the police officers in exercise of their powers and found at every presentation of acts of corruption. Note that the public perception of the police force is at almost all-time low, as is regarded as the incubator of corrupt practices. Recall, the President and his regimes are vowed to fight corruption to a standstill is one of the major cardinal objectives of this Muhammad Buhari administration. Further recall that the police officer is generally expected to carry out his functions within the bounds of the law and owes no duty to serve the community, protect the innocent, keep the peace and ensure that there is liberty, equity, and justice for all. Aware, the officers of the IGP and DCP represent top hierarchy of the Nigerian police. Concerned that allegations of threat to life, persecution, and unwarranted harassment are serious issues, which, if left unresolved, could undermine the effective discharge of the functions of the police. Worried that allegation has made borders on very serious cases of corruption and transversal of justice,
which, if not resolved, is a disservice to the common people of Nigeria. Further worried that if officers who show due diligence in discharge of their public duties are vilified, hounded, and intimidated instead of being commended and promoted, it will undermine the reward system and further impairing officers' morale to serve their fatherland diligently. Mr. Speaker, the DCB and honorable colleagues, this motion is being brought before this honorable House based on the unwarranted harassment and the threat to life of this Deputy Commissioner of Police, Mr. Lafia, of the Police Academy in Kano. Mr. Speaker, this particular police officer is into intelligence gathering, and intelligence gathering that has provided a lot of results, the result of which is the advanced case, the notorious kidnapper. It was this particular officer who provided information on the intelligence that actually brought this man to book. And today, Mr. Speaker, people can go about their normal business because this man is now under the police custody. These and so many other high-profile cases were handled by this particular man. But instead of paying him back with some level of commendations, he is being haunted, he is being transferred, he is being given so many things that will portray him in bad light. And this man, I think, Mr. Speaker, it is the duty of this very particular House to be the brother's keeper of this particular officer, to make others know that due diligence to their job is what is expected of them. Mr. Speaker, I move that the House resolve to constitute a special ad hoc committee to investigate the allegations levied against the persons and officers of the IGP and other officers mentioned as part of this large-scale act of corruption and victimization and report back to the House within 4 weeks. Also mandate the special ad hoc committee to establish any actual threat to life and act of intimidation and harassment as alleged. I so move, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Gabachedi Hamanjude.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, my honorable colleagues. My name is Garbachede Hamanjude, a member representing the good people of Baligasol. I'm from Taraba State. I rise on my feet to second the motion, ably moved by my good friend, who is our leader, Mr. Osh. I so second. Thank you very much.
Honorable Osi, 2 minutes to argue a motion.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Once again, Honorable prestigious member representing the good people and commercial-oriented people of Aba North, Aba South Federal Constituency. Mr. Speaker, I am from Abia State. Mr. Speaker, this motion is based on an act of intimidation and undue harassment by the Inspector General of Police against this very gentleman, DCP, Abuyari Lafia. If you recall, Mr. Speaker, that this man has been in very high sensitive offices in the Nigerian police. He has handled so many high-profile cases that at this point in time I will not be able to give details because since it's an investigative matter, at that point I think I will be able to provide those things. But be it known to all members of this House that this particular officer has been so good in his discharge of his duties that he has been able to unravel a whole lot of things that is going on that is not in concert with the job of a policeman. He has turned down so many offers that run into billions of naira as bribe to him to pervert justice and to do those things that this particular administration, for instance, has been kicking against, which is corruption. This officer is a very diligent officer that every other police officer in this country should emulate. But Mr. Speaker and distinguished honorable colleagues, instead of giving this man a pat at the back by promoting him and others, incentives that will make him do more, he is being hounded. he is being haunted, he is being harassed, he is being posted to areas where some of those things which he wants to, uncover will not be uncovered. Files are being, he is being asked to bring a lot of files of high criminal cases so that they will have their way by closing all such cases. Mr. Speaker, this particular officer, like I said, is a very diligent officer, and I think it is the duty of this House to encourage such officers, because if you have the police officers like this, I think this country will be better. There is Hausa adage or proverb that says that a dirty hand cannot mold a good pounded yam. A dirty hand cannot mold a good pounded yam, which means if you have a corrupt police officer, if you have a corrupt police force, there is no way they can fight crime. There is no way crime will be eliminated in this country. And it's on this basis, Mr. Speaker and honorable colleagues, that I urge this House to please support this motion with all that it takes in order to assist everybody, including us here, because if there is high crime rate, we all are suffering it. Our countries are suffering it. Nigerians are suffering it. And it is on this note, Mr. Speaker and honorable colleagues, that I urge you to please support this motion so that this thing will be hit in the board, and then encourage other officers and other security agencies who are into doing the right thing to do more. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
I think this is a straightforward motion. It's calling for investigation. And the allegation is that one of the senior officers was in charge of recovery or investigations, and having gathered so many exhibits, financial and otherwise, was posted out and for the sole purpose of enabling others to feast on those exhibits. So since our responsibility as Parliament to expose corruption, I guess this is something worth considering. So I'll put the question, and then the outcome of the investigation may now lead to the real debate on the floor of the House. So those in favor of the motion say aye. Those against it say nay. Ayes have it. Second point of order from Honorable Aidigan.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker, honorable colleagues. I remain Aidigan, member representing Bariki Ladi Federal Constituency. I'm from Plateau State. Arise, Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, under Order 8, Rule 4, to raise a matter of urgent public importance on the need to invoke the powers of appropriation to enhance the implementation of laws enacted by the 8th Assembly, and in particular, the Northeast Development Commission, as well as the Nigerians in Diaspora Commission, among others, and also urge the House that under the same Order 8 to permit that we suspend the relevant rules to enable me to take this motion at this sitting. Thank you, Honorable Speaker, honorable colleagues.
Seconder to the first limb of the motion. Seconder, Honorable Prestige.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Honorable Prestige Josie, member representing Aba North, Aba South Federal Constituency. I'm from Abia State. Mr. Speaker, I rise to second the motion ably moved by my colleague. I so second.
Those in favor of the motion say aye. Those against it say nay. Ayes have it. Second limb of the motion. Honorable IBB, Ibro Ikanem. Honorable IBB, second.
The Honorable Speaker and our colleagues,
My name is Ibor Ekanem, aka IBB. I represent the good people of in the federal constituency of Akwa Ibom State, the state of uncommon transformation. Mr. Speaker, I so second.
Those in favor of the motion say aye. Those against it say nay. Ayes have it. Honorable ID, please move your motion as quickly as you can.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker, honorable colleagues. This motion is a one-line motion on the need to invoke the powers of appropriation to enhance and enforce the implementation of laws enacted by the 8th Assembly. The House notes that the 8th National Assembly, in pursuit of its well-articulated legislative agenda, enacted critical laws that will positively impact the lives of Nigerians in the areas of security, internal displacement, education, Nigerians in diaspora, healthcare, and human capital development. The laws which have already been accorded presidential assent include the Northeast Development Commission Act 2017, Nigerians in Diaspora Commission Act 2017, the Federal University of Petroleum Resources Act 2017, the Federal College of Dental Technology and Therapy Act 2017, Air Force Institute of Technology of Nigeria Act 2017, and Defense Space Administration Act 2017. Aware, honorable colleagues, that the successful implementation of the extant laws requires adequate budgetary provision. The House, therefore, is to resolve to mandate the Committee on Appropriation to ensure that adequate budgetary provisions are made in the 2018 appropriation bill for the smooth takeoff and implementation of the acts of the said establishments. Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, I so move.
Honorable Show, second, please.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues. My name is Honorable Show Saleh, representing the good people of the Joe Magama Federal Constituency of Niger State. Mr. Speaker, I rise to support the motion ably moved by my colleagues. I so support.
Honorable Gyang, 2 minutes, please. It's a straightforward motion.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues. Reference has already been made to the laws that have been passed, 6 in number that have received presidential assent, and each of the above laws went through the rigors of legislative craftsmanship with the aim of addressing the subject matter and yield the specific desired outcomes. Particular mention must be made to the Northeast Development Commission, which was sponsored by our Right Honorable Speaker and has been assented to. This is one act that is going to address the issues of devastation that has been brought about by the insurgency of Boko Haram in the Northeast. And this motion is to ensure that appropriate and adequate provision is provided for in the 2018 budget to ensure that this commission that has been is now having a legislative and legal instrument backing it takes off successfully. In the same vein, the Nigerians in Diaspora Commission is to receive the necessary appropriation and backing by this 8th Assembly to ensure that the Commission takes off. We know that the Nigerians in diaspora are people that have been contributing immensely to the economy of this nation. We can also recall the diaspora bond and how through it, capital inflow is coming into the nation, thereby strengthening the economy of our nation. And the other bills, the other acts that have also been assented to by the President will require that appropriate funding be provided for. And that is what this motion is seeking to do, so that the appropriation committee will do the needful. And that is why we are urging that honorable colleagues to support this motion, so that the appropriation committee will provide adequate funding in the 2018 budget for these establishments to take off. This is our plea, and I urge all honorable colleagues to support this straightforward motion. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and honorable colleagues.
Those in favor of the motion say aye. Those against it say nay. Ayes have it. Last point of order will come from Honorable Abdul Samad.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Honorable colleagues, I'm Abdul Samad Dasuki, representing Kenneth Tambuwal from Sokoto State. Mr. Speaker, I come under Order 8, Rules 4 and 7, calling on the House to suspend relevant rules so that I can take a matter for the public importance, which has to do with the need to stop drug abuse by banning the sale of codeine and tramadol over the counter in Nigeria. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Abiodun, for last.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, distinguished colleagues. My name is Abiodun Olashukwu from Oyo State. I represent the Senate, Tesua, Kaduna, and Wadua Federal Constituency. I rise this afternoon to support the first leg of the motion, ably moved by my colleague, Honorable Abdul Samad Dasuki. Thank you very much.
Those in favor of the motion say aye. Those against it say nay. Ayes have it. Secondly, Honorable Frederick Agbedi.
Thank you, right, Honorable Speaker, Honorable colleagues. Agbedi Ejemna Frederick is my name. I represent Sabama Gremon Federal Constituency. I'm from Bayelsa State. Mr. Speaker, Honorable colleagues, I rise the second leg of the motion as a second.
Those in favor of the motion say aye. Those against it say nay. Ayes have it. Honorable Abdul Samad, please move your motion.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Honorable colleagues, I remain Abdul Samad Dasuki, representing Kebe Tambuwal from Sokoto State. Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, the House notes of the rising incidence of indiscriminate consumption and consequent abuse of codeine, also known as 3-methamphetamine in northern Nigeria by boys, young boys, men, and adults in most cases, and institutions of higher learning, working class ladies, and also unemployed youth. Also informed of the statistics that shows that over 3 million bottles of codeine syrup are consumed daily in Kano and Jigawa states alone. And when the figure from other 17 states, or the other 16 states in the northern part of the country is added, the sad reality of the catastrophic situation of the abuse of codeine and other drugs in the north comes into focus. Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, the House notes that codeine is an opiate pain medication, sometimes called narcotic, and issued to treat mild to moderately severe pain as a cough medicine and for diarrhea in some cases. Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, in most cases, codeine is an addictive drug. The House also notes that codeine is not safe for use by someone who has severe breathing problems, a blockage in the stomach or intestines, frequent asthma attacks, by hyperventilation, as it has the capacity to show breathing, and may be a habit forming as the misuse of this medicine can cause addiction, overdose, or death, especially in a child or other persons using the medicine without prescription. The House further notes that codeine is not recommended for use by children under the age of 12 and should not be used by any person under 18 years who has recently undergone surgery to remove his tonsils or adenoids or during pregnancy, as it may cause life-threatening withdrawal symptoms in the newborn baby who will also become dependent on codeine. The House equally notes that the fatal side effects can occur if codeine is used with alcohol or with other drugs that cause drowsiness or slow one's breathing, and in some people, codeine breaks down rapidly in the liver and reaches higher than normal levels in the body, thus causing dangerously slow breathing and can lead to death. The House also notes that codeine is not advisable for someone who has range of ailments such as liver disease, asthma, sleep apnea, breathing disorders, abnormal curvature of the spine, kidney disease, head injury, or brain tumor. Low blood pressure, blockage in the digestive tract, that is the stomach, intestine, gallbladder or pancreas, underactive thyroid, Addison's disease, or other annual gland disorder, enlarged prostate, relation problems, mental illness, drug or alcohol addiction, etc. The House also aware that codeine should not be used in larger amounts for longer than the period prescribed, while the user should be drinking 6 to 8 glasses of water daily to help prevent constipation while taking the medicine, and you should not stop taking it suddenly after long-time use, or you could develop unpleasant withdrawal symptoms. Also aware that the short-term and seeming salutary effects of codeine include euphoria, feelings of being drunk, altered consciousness, but the common negative short-term effects are nausea and vomiting, excessive drowsiness, diarrhea or confusion, dryness of the mouth, constipation, allergic skin reaction, or rash. Concerned that the vast majority of the northern youth, men and women, girls, boys, adults, who abuse codeine lack knowledge of both the required prescription, manner of its intake, or its adverse effects beyond the short-term euphoria it brings. Cognizant that the widespread abuse of codeine and other drugs in northern Nigeria poses a major challenge of unparalleled prescription to the survival of the region in particular, and the nation in general, as it is with youth and women folk are faced with the threat of being rendered useless from the adverse effects of the abuse of the medicine. Aware that the monitoring use of these drugs at the point of sale has proven insufficient in the war against drug addiction. To curtail the rise of this problem and record any tangible gains, a combined approach must be employed by relevant agencies. The approach should have at least 5 key elements, which is orientation, rehabilitation, regulation, extinction, and sanctions. The House recalls a resolution of the House on Thursday, 17 March 2006, in a motion presented by Honorable Benny La, in which the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency was mandated to intensify their advocacy efforts in the area of drug abuse. Also aware that the National Agency for Food and Drug Administration and Control, NAFDAC, is empowered by Sections 5, A, E, J, I, N, and S, which is the sale, distribution, and use of drugs in the country. The need exists for the agency to step up its regulatory responsibility by banning and dispensing of the codeine and other drugs across the counter of pharmacies and other addictive drugstores that can only be dispensed upon prescription by a doctor or practicing in a licensed hospital. Also, the House now urge, Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, now prayers is urge the National Agency for Food and Drug Administration and Control to ban the dispensing of codeine across the counter and ensure that its prescription only sold in only general and private hospitals in the country. That's government hospitals and private hospitals. Urge NAFDAC and other stakeholders to adopt the use of central database where prescription data is logged in to help detect addicts and check over prescription. Call on the Federal and State Ministries of Information and National Orientation Agency to intensify enlightenment campaigns on the dangers of drug abuse. Urge the stakeholders in the health sector to enforce existing regulations aimed at impacting availability. This includes volume restrictions per purchase. Ensure that the NAFDAC introduces punitive measures for medical practitioners not dispensing opioid medications without a notarized prescription by a medical doctor. Mandates the Committees on Healthcare Services, Narcotic, Drugs and Information, National Orientation, ethics and values to ensure implementation. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, Honorable colleagues.
Honorable Kadike.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'm Dr. Amuda Kondike Abubakar. I represent Ilorin East, Ilorin South Federal Constituencies of Kwara State. Mr. Speaker, I want to support my colleague for this very, very important motion that he has moved. The situation is really...
Are you seconding or supporting? Second first, please. It's not been seconded yet. Okay, Honorable Dasuki Abdul Samad, you have 2 minutes. It was a fairly long motion, so I think 2 minutes is even too much. 1 minute to summarize your argument.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Once again, I remain Abdul Samad Dasuki, representing Kebbi Tambwa. Mr. Speaker, like you rightly said, I've discussed virtually everything in the course of presenting the motion. But notwithstanding, Mr. Speaker, I would just like to highlight something from a specialist. I just want to quote his words here with regards to codeine. And his words are, he's a renowned specialist. He said, codeine is a pretty rubbish drug that doesn't actually help people as much as they think it does. Shockingly, long-term codeine use has even been shown to have been pain sensitizing effects in people who take it regularly for headaches, ultimately making their pain worse. So, Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, if we can have specialists making such arguments for us, and what we are seeing on a daily basis with regards to consumption of these drugs in the northern part of the country is very alarming. Like I said in the course of the debate, Mr. Speaker, if we allow this to continue, we are going to have a generation in years to come that are of no use to the economy, of no use to the system, of no use to even the society. So I think, Mr. Speaker, there is no better time to act than now. Like I stated earlier, NAFDAC has all the powers. I have the laws of NAFDAC here. NAFDAC is very well empowered to even stop the sales in most cases, to even make sure that it's only prescription. But, Mr. Speaker, they are not living up to expectations. That is why I am bringing this motion to bring the awareness that we should sell, or we should call on NAFDAC to only sell this in the hospitals. Any licensed hospital should be allowed to sell these drugs. If not, Mr. Speaker, the prescription that was well stated is not being followed. So I call on my colleagues to please support this motion, more especially the prayer which says that only licensed hospitals should sell this particular drugs. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, honorable colleagues.
Honorable Kanike.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, distinguished colleagues. The motion as moved by Honorable Dasuki is of epidemic status in this country, particularly in the northern part of the country right now. It is the new eye among youths. There is gross abuse of codeine, and they use it in all manners. Some use it, you see a lot of people carrying a bottle of Coke. There's already codeine in the Coke. Some mix it in shisha. They do a lot of manners, methodology of abuse of these drugs. And we have a lot of cases now of people who have withdrawal symptoms in trying to get over the drug. If you get to our hospitals, you will see how bad this case is. It's great concern that our future leaders, future mothers, and future parents are now seeing that the use of codeine, which is easily affordable, you know, is now the new eye, and we are mortgaging the health status of our youths if we allow this to continue. I want to support seriously that there will be a stronger regulation on the sales of codeine to people. I support the prayer that said that it should be better regulated and that only authorized outlets should be able to sell these products. And I want the members to see this as a serious problem, and a stitch in time, they say, saves 9. So I think we should address this issue before it destroys our youth of tomorrow. Thank you.
Honorable Keita.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I remain Ahmed Uba Keita, representing Kenche Kusade and Gao of Katsina State. Mr. Speaker, I rise to first congratulate the mover of this motion because it's apt and timely. And secondly, Mr. Speaker, I rise here to urge this House
to please make sure not only that this motion is considered, but also to, in my own suggestion and opinion, to totally ban the importation of codeine into this country. Nothing short of stopping the supply will stop this menace. It has become so rampant in the northern part of Nigeria, so much so that in every 10 violence you see, 8 to 9 are traced to use of codeine. So, Mr. Speaker, since we have other alternatives to this medicine, it's not only codeine that can cure the ailments that is used for. I think for the starters, we should ban it first. Then, after which we might now consider introducing it. Because so many state governments have introduced policies in which to check, in trying to check this problem, but it has not worked. They increased the price. It was a mere 150 naira. Order. Now a bottle is sold for 2,000, 3,000 naira. And just recently when Mr. President visited Kano, the emir stood up and was pleading with Mr. President that he should intervene in the case of consumption of codeine in the northern part of Nigeria. That there is an rough estimate of a daily consumption of about 1 million bottles. 1 million bottles, which is crazy, Mr. Speaker. So I rise to support this motion. I equally rise to suggest that if we are doing anything, we should first attack the source. And by attacking the source, there will not be consumption. And we are lucky, doctors have said that so many medicine can remedy what codeine and benylin does. So my suggestion is that for the starters, we should consider banning it completely, after which we might consider it, because all the attempts to ban or to prevent codeine from entering into this have so far failed. Is it from the NAFDAC, regulatory agency that is not performing, or in the customs that allow the inflow of this codeine? We don't know. But I believe, and if we want to do something, because my colleague was saying a stitch inside, it's already late now. If we have consumption of 1 million bottles of codeine on daily basis, then it's late. So what we should be doing is, since we have other alternatives, we should just suspend the importation of codeine temporarily, stop the usage, use the other alternative. When we are finally satisfied that the menace have been checked, then we can go back. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Any more contribution? Otherwise, I'll put the question. Okay, Honorable Namdas is the last contribution.
Honorable Speaker, honorable colleagues, this is Honorable Abrazak Namdas, member representing Ganye Jadatongo Maibelwa. I am from Adamawa State. Mr. Speaker, I want to join my colleagues to support this very important motion. Mr. Speaker, recently we are having great issues in the country, particularly among even married men and women. We have incidences where some people we have seen murder cases emanating from marriages, and some people are suggesting that some is due to the use of drugs, use of shisha, and so many things. And this is very saddening. And therefore, I want to support Honorable Kaita by saying that we should ban this thing from entering the country itself, because we have other options. If you go to a medical doctor, he can prescribe several other drugs that can be used for cough, for other issues. So if this codeine is so dangerous, we can look for other options. If I can't use paracetamol, I can use Panadol. So if there's no codeine, you can use other substances. So I think what he has suggested is very important, because these days our young girls in high institutions, if you see them with bags, with Coke, with Sprite and what have you, they put codeine inside. And largely by the age of 30, 35, we are expecting to have these guys as leaders of tomorrow. But certainly we will have leaders who cannot have good judgment. and we will have issues. So, Mr. Speaker, I like to support this very important matter motion, and I feel that this issue should be banned. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Those in favor of the motion say aye. Those against it say nay. Ayes have it. Honorable members, the first business of the day is presentation of 3 bills. I now invite the clerk to read their short titles.
Honorable Speaker, honorable members, Physically Challenged Empowerment Bill 2017, first reading. Nigerian Civil Defense University as a Establishment Bill, first reading. Federal Polytechnic Abbey River Establishment Bill 2017, first reading.
Honorable members, second business day's presentation report of the ad hoc committee need to avert the breakdown of law and order in Kano State, standing in the name of Honorable Toby Okechukwu. Honorable members will recall the matter was referred to the committee on Tuesday, 28 February 2017. The report is ready for presentation, and Honorable Toby is now invited to present it.
Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, my name is Toby Okechukwu. I represent an area of River Federal Constituency from Enugu State. Mr. Speaker, I do move that the House do receive the report of the ad hoc committee on the need to avert the breakdown of law and order in Kano State. I so move.
Honorable Dennis.
Mr. Speaker, distinguished colleagues, my name is Honorable Dennis Nnamdi Abu. I represent Udenu Igweze North Federal Constituency. Mr. Speaker, I'm from Enugu State. I rise to second the motion that the House do receive the report of the ad hoc committee on investigation of the abuses in Kano State. I so second.
Those in favor of the motion say aye. Those against it say nay. Ayes have it. Honorable Toby, please proceed and lay the report. First order of the day, honorable colleagues, is the third reading of a bill for an act to incorporate Annex 12 to the Convention on International Civil Aviation 1944 into Nigerian law, to establish the Nigerian Search and Rescue Service, to provide for other matters connected therewith. Honorable members will recall that the House adopted a report of the Committee of the Whole on the bill on Tuesday, 19 December 2017, and therefore call on the Leader of the House to move the bill.
Motion as moved by John Onyebiri. I so second.
Those in favor of the motion say aye. Those against it say nay. Ayes have it. Pardon? Oh, I thought it's even the third reading of the bill. So I rescind the decision we have taken, and because it was wrong anyway. So I call on Honorable Jones to now lead the debate.
Mr. Speaker, my honorable colleagues, Honorable Sir Jones Chukwudi, representing the largest federal constituency in the country, Mkwere Isu, Wangalenja Federal Constituency in the state. Mr. Speaker, this is a very simple bill, and may I humbly bring to the attention of these hallowed chambers of the experience that we have in 2008, 2009, when we had the banking crisis. Mr. Speaker, you could recall that this House graciously helped in forestalling what would have been a big blow, not just on the depositors in the banks, but also on our good selves and our constituents. Mr. Speaker, it's so sad that the conditions or the reasons that we had used in helping to forestall what would have been a very huge banking crisis, that none of these conditions sadly have been met. Mr. Speaker, one of the conditions is that we will not allow any bank to fail, so that we will not have so many people in the unemployment market. The second condition, Mr. Speaker, was the need to allow even the Apex Bank to make credit accessible to these banks, or facilities rather, to this bank, so that they would ensure that credit is made accessible to our teeming SMEs. The third reason, Mr. Speaker, was the need to make sure that these banks were too big to fail. Mr. Speaker, unfortunately, all these conditions have not been met. Worse still, Mr. Speaker, is that even after we have plunged in so much trillions of naira into the banking sector, we still have huge non-performing loans. Mr. Speaker, these huge non-performing loans are far beyond the industry threshold, and we cannot sit back and watch this happen even in this 8th Assembly. Mr. Speaker, that is why it has gladdened our hearts that this House has indeed taken a step further in ensuring that they amend the necessary acts that will help to stabilize the financial institution. First is the proposal to amend the AMCOM Act, which they have graciously done. The second is the proposal to amend the Nigerian Deposit Insurance Corporation Act, which was heavily moved by Honorable Fakeye, which this House passed into second reading. The third also is the amendment of the CBN Act, which was also graciously moved by no other person than the Deputy Minority Whip, which this House had also passed into second reading. Now, Mr. Speaker, we are here to move that we amend the Banks and Other Financial Institutions Act for very simple reasons, Mr. Speaker. If you take a cursory look at the existing provisions of the Act, you will realize, Mr. Speaker, that the punitive measures are not anything to write home about. For instance, you can imagine that even in Section 20 of the Act, that no bank is allowed to grant facility to its directors beyond 50,000 naira without prior approval by the Apex Bank. But, Mr. Speaker, they've gone ahead to grant facilities worth billions of naira, which is why we have these huge non-performing loans. And the very reason why they can afford to do that is that the punitive measure is nothing to write home about. If there are any infractions, the worst you can do is to pay a meager sum of 100,000 naira, which anybody can pay. Even for the banks, if they have any infraction, they pay as small as just 1 million naira. But what we have intended to do with this amendment is to increase the punitive measure in order to deter corporations and individuals from obvious infractions of these extant laws. Mr. Speaker, it will also interest you to know that indeed what we have done in order to forestall this is to make it so hard on every one of them to pay as much as 2 million naira every day as long as these infractions exist. Mr. Speaker, what we want to do, if this is approved or passed into second reading, is to make sure that we avoid any further crisis in the banking sector. Mr. Speaker, we also interest you to know that there is a policy directive by the central bank, which allows even the CEOs and chairmen of banks to not to serve beyond 10 years, cumulative 10 years as CEOs. What we have tried to do, just like we did in the AMCOM Act, is to codify it. So that's what we have also included in this amendment. There are other amendments which I believe that the co-sponsors will also push. Mr. Speaker, I so submit and believe that the House will graciously move this proposal into second reading. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Dan, you're one of the sponsors.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Speaker, my honorable colleagues. I am Daniel Raini Juorishegubemi. Mr. Speaker, I represent Warri Federal Constituency. I'm from Delta State. Mr. Speaker, my colleague, let me also commend my chairman who has led the debate. on these all-important amendments to our banking industry. Mr. Speaker, my own bill, which was christened in its short title as Total Disclosure of Banking Fees and Charges. Mr. Speaker, I could say here that the 360 members that are seated in these chambers from time to time must have been a victim of arbitrary charges from one particular transactions or the other from time to time. Mr. Speaker, I would want to say that, yes, the banking industry is a vital institution to the growth of every nation's economy. But in doing that, the banks must come clean. The banks must also be transparent. And the banks must totally disclose whatever transactions the bank has with its customer. I wouldn't want to take much time off this parliament, but I will go to very specific examples of what has happened to the bankers, which they have carried out without due consultations with parliaments or with Nigerians or with their customers, as the case may be. Mr. Speaker will recall that Nigerians at one particular time protested the charges of COT on current accounts in this nation. As soon as that was condemned by the parliament and it was asked to be stopped, the next week, the banks came up with what they termed as current account maintenance fee, which was not bargained for. It was never there before the COTs were actually removed. But as soon as the COTs were removed, no consultations was made. Another charges was introduced with another name, which actually replaced what the COT was. Initially, it would have been better for the COT to have been left the way it was. But it was just a change of nomenclature to also make their profit, as it were. The second one, Mr. Speaker, you will also notice that we have the debit card maintenance fee, and you also have the ATM withdrawal maintenance fee. Mr. Speaker, when you put all of this together, you will find out that most Nigerians, and if not all Nigerians, that are engaged in banking transactions are always double taxed. And Nigerians do not also go into too much details. It makes them lose the steam of finding out that their accounts are being preferred. Mr. Speaker, finally, let me also say that due to the outcry of some certain unions in this country, the central bank instructed banks to return 6.2 billion in excess of charges to bank customers. Mr. Speaker, this is alarming. I do not know how many. That was in 2015, Mr. Speaker, and my colleagues. I do not know what the charges will have been now. The arbitrary charges will have been in 2016 and also in 2017. Mr. Speaker, the 6.2 billion in excess charges on the cost transactions of 2015 alone, this refund, the CBN said, arose from more than 6,000 complaints of unauthorized bank charges brought to his notice. Mr. Speaker, this is ridiculous. We have to be very, very careful with the accounts that we operate with the bankers. The bankers are there to make profit. That profit must be transparent. The profit must be genuine. Nobody is saying the bankers do not have the right to actually levy or charge customers for transactions or for services being rendered. But such transactions must be open, must be totally disclosed to the customers for them to know what charges they are expected to pay in every kobo that is lodged in the bank. Mr. Speaker, my honorable colleagues, I want to plead with us to look at this with all carefulness and allow this bill to pass so that going forward, banks can declare, even before an account is opened, you must be informed as to all charges that you will be levied with. I so plead, Mr. Speaker, my honorable colleagues, I thank you all.
Honorable Sadiq.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. My dear honorable colleagues, my name is Sadiq Ibrahim. I represent Forest and Federal Constituency, and I'm from Adamawa State. Mr. Speaker, when cannot but appreciates the submissions of the Committee on Banking and other financial institutions in this house. They've done a wonderful job.
And we need to support it. And therefore, in support of this motion, Mr. Speaker, that the bill be read for the second time, so that experts in banking can appear before the committee and ventilate whatever problems they may have as to why they cannot comply with the provisions of the Act, and also give us their own side of the story as to why charges are being hidden from customers that do not understand what the charges are for, and the penalties that have been jacked up by this committee are considered and appropriately approved. Be that as may, Mr. Speaker, I would want to add or say some few things, just about 3 of them, sir. Number one, there are infractions too many in our banking industry. But, Mr. Speaker, convictions are little or basically none at all. So to me, the purpose of law is not just to punish. The purpose of law is to serve as a deterrent and also to reform the offender. If we sit down here, I know Sir Jones is an astute banker and a financial person, but punishments that are punitive do not serve the purpose of law, because we need to make our punishments as an example for will-be-like persons not to do and to reform the industry. There are so many of the punishments that I have seen that perhaps I will not agree with them, particularly, for instance, the punishment under Section 5, Section 4 of the Act. It says that under the extant law, the punishment is 5 million naira. But here it provides for a fine of not less than 20 million naira against any director, manager, or officer of the bank that fails to take reasonable steps to ensure compliance with any of the conditions of the license. And I can understand for director and manager, or a bank officer. An officer is an employee that is paid salary. If you said you should pay 20 million naira for non-compliance with all the conditions attached to the license, I think that is something we need to look at here. As I said, I believe when the time comes for the bankers to come and confront us, there are some reasons that will be changed. Mr. Speaker and my honorable colleagues, the title of the law that is being amended here is both here: Banks and Other Financial Institutions Act. But the amendments have concentrated on banks. It did not talk about other financial institutions. And in other financial institutions, because of the move now all over the world, especially in developing economies, for financial inclusion, what is required for this committee to have done was to look at other financial institutions, especially the microfinance. There are many misdeeds that are being done there. They fold up, they run away with people's money. Therefore, the ordinary people in the villages are afraid all the time to bring their money to the banks. So, for instance, under Section 2, Subsection 2 of this bill, there is an imposition of 50 million naira fine, not less than 50 million naira, and imprisonment for a term of not less than 10 years, or both, against any person that transacts a banking business without a license. But for microfinance bank, the punishment is just 1 million naira. And we know what has happened. Today, somebody informed me that it is 1 year when MMM collapsed. And the people who transacted business or who set up the MMM have not been arrested till tomorrow. And there are many of them in this country where people do not have license to conduct banking business, but they are still collecting money from people. The problem is that the enforcement of the laws is not how much we jack up the punishment, but that those who are supposed to enforce the law, the central bank, our police, and other security outfits are not doing what they are supposed to do. Therefore, Mr. Speaker and my honorable colleagues, as I said, I'm in support of this motion for this bill to be read for the second time, but there are many more things to be considered when the experts in the banking industry come to ventilate their own position in the banking industry with a view that we can, as a community, get the best finance institutions that this country deserves. I therefore support the motion, and I ask my colleagues to also support the motion for this bill to be read for the second time. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Johnson will be the last contributor.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And my fellow colleagues. I am Honorable Johnson Agwahide Uma. I represent all the people of the Federal constituency. I want to join my other colleagues that have supported this bill to thank the chairman of banking and currency for coming up with for his insight into sponsoring this kind of a bill. And this is one bill that has been long overdue, because majority, almost Nigerians that are banking with Nigerian banks, we have suffered so much fraud. We have been badly cheated in the area of charges that are not known to any of the investors. You discover that even common ATM, whether you draw 500 naira, or you draw 1,000 naira, or you draw 300 naira, 65 naira is charged for common ATM. We are in a system where you put 10,000 naira in the bank, you are at home, you begin to receive some alerts where other 500 naira is deducted, 600 naira is deducted, 300 naira is deducted, without knowing what is happening. Every year they keep on declaring billions just by fraudulently debiting our accounts for charges that are not known to man. I think I support this bill wholeheartedly and totally, because if you are in business, you must open your palms. Let the banks and financial institutions let us know the services that they are rendering and the charges that are attached, so that we are in a position to choose what to go for, and even the bank to put our money. When this thing is properly implemented, you discover that customers like us will now be in a position to decide which bank to go to. There will be fair competition, and the services and charges will be open to know. It will be a competition among banks. So, Mr. Speaker, I wholeheartedly support this bill, and thank the mover and the promoter and the sponsor of this bill. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
I put the question. The question is the bill being read the second time. Those in favor of the motion say aye. Those against it say nay. Ayes have it. Clerks now invited to read the long title of the bill.
Honorable Speaker, honorable members, a bill for an act to amend the Banks and Other Financial Institutions Act, Chapter B3, Laws of the Federation of Nigeria, 2004, to mandate banks and other financial institutions in Nigeria to state in writing all charges and fees accruing to any transactions in the banks, and to repeal and reenact the Banks and Other Financial Institutions Act 2017 and for related matters. Second reading.
Bill referred to Committee on Banking and Currency. Third order of the day, honorable colleagues, commencement of debate on general principle of bill for an act to establish Federal Polytechnic, Cocoa, Delta State, to provide for equity and access to tertiary education in the country, make comprehensive provisions for due management and administration for related matters, standing in the name of Honorable Daniel Reneju. Honorable members will recall the bill was read the first time on Thursday, 23rd November 2017. I now invite Honorable Reneju to move that the bill be now read the second time.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, my honorable colleagues. I am Honorable Daniel Reneju. I represent Warri Federal Constituency, Mr. Speaker. I'm from Delta State. A bill for an act to establish Federal Polytechnic, Kuko, Delta State, to provide for equity and access to tertiary education in the country, make comprehensive provisions for due management and administration, and for other related matters. HB 1217. Mr. Speaker, I so move.
Any seconder? Honorable Abonta.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I remain Uzoma Nkem Abonta. I'm compelled by the circumstances to support that the motion will be read for the second time.
Honorable Dan, please lead the debate.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, my distinguished colleagues. Mr. Speaker, my respected colleagues, I rise to move the debate on the need to establish a federal polytechnic in Kuko, Delta State. Mr. Speaker, first of all, before I go ahead, let me commend and encourage the spirit behind the 8th Assembly for all the years that I've been in this parliament, since 2007. I have never experienced a particular house that has encouraged the establishment of higher institutions, tertiary institutions in various parts of the country. I've equally observed with joy that all the universities being established, or all the tertiary institutions being established in this country are actually very useful. And as such, I want to call on my colleagues to look at the need and allow this bill to pass the second reading on the establishment of a polytechnic in Kuko. Mr. Speaker, Kuko is in Delta State and occupies a very prominent place in Delta State and the country. It is equally known, Mr. Speaker, I'll go into a little history, for very negative things, most especially the dumping of the toxic waste a couple of years ago. And also, Mr. Speaker, the Kuko happens to be an headquarter of a local government that is so rich in oil and gas. Mr. Speaker, my colleagues, I want to plead that Kuko should not also be seen, or always be seen, as a place where we can always dump and extract the good things. Kuko can also accommodate the federal presence in form of a tertiary institution. Mr. Speaker, this is a very straightforward and simple legislation for the betterment of Nigerians. And before I go into some of the functions of this polytechnic, which is also known to members of this parliament, I want to say that a colleague of ours in this house, Honorable Babachele from Babanle from Kanu, once said that when you close the door, when you close the doors to education, you open more doors to prison. And then when you open the doors to education, you close more doors to prison. Mr. Speaker, I would want to encourage this House to continue to support the establishment of tertiary institutions across the nations, as also private investors are equally doing, and they can all go together. Mr. Speaker, like I said, it's very straightforward. It is just to establish a polytechnic establish such campuses, department, institute of schools, extramural departments, and other teaching and research units within the Polytechnic as may, from time to time, seem necessary or desirable, subject to approval of the National Board for Technical Education. Institute chief leadership, and associate chief leadership, lectureship, and other posts and offices to make appointments thereto, provide for residence, discipline, and welfare of members of the Polytechnic, and so many others, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, like I said, this is a straightforward legislation. I want to plead with my colleague that we should allow this bill to go through the second reading so that it can be dealt with at the committee level. Mr. Speaker, I so submit and I plead with my honorable colleagues. Thank you.
Any contributor? It's a straightforward bill, really. So I'll put a question. The question is that the bill be now read a second time. Those in favor of the motion say aye. Those against it say nay. Ayes have it. Clerk is invited to read the long title of the bill.
Honorable Speaker, honorable members, a bill for an act to establish Federal Polytechnic COCO, Delta State, to provide for equity and access to tertiary education in the country, make comprehensive provisions for due management and administration, and for related matters. Second reading.
Bill is referred to Committee on Tertiary Education Services. Fourth order of the day is commencement of debate on the general principles of Bill for an act to establish Federal College of Education, Akwate, Abia State, to provide full-time courses, teaching, instructions, training in technology, applied sciences, arts sciences, social sciences, humanities, and management, and for related matters, standing in the name of Honorable Uzoma Nkema Bonta. Honorable members will recall the bill was read the first time on Thursday, 23rd November 2017. Now I invite Honorable Bonta to move the bill. We now read the second time.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I remain Uzoma Nkema Bonta. I move that a bill for an act to establish Federal College of Education, Akwete, Abia State, to provide for full-time courses, teaching, instruction, and training in technology, applied sciences, arts, social science, humanities, and management, and for related matters, read second time. I so move, Mr. Speaker.
Right, Honorable Speaker, Honorable colleagues. My name is Honorable Sylvester Obaga. I represent Abakaliki Zifra constituency. I'm from Ebonyi State. I stand to second reading of the bill as moved by Honorable Abonta. I so second.
Honorable Abonta, you may now lead the debate. Chairman, Rules and Business, please, let me see. Can you speak to the mic, please?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I will not waste our legislative time, having seen that we have a lot of things to do. Mr. Speaker, honorable colleague, 3 weeks ago here, it was evidently and agreed that some states, Abia State and 3 other states, have no presence of federal qualification and universities in their states. And we agreed that for equity to be, that these states be provided opportunity to have federal qualifications and universities, and the chairman on education were directed to consider these bills timelessly and bring them up. I adopt all the arguments canvassed by my friend Honorable Daniel here on the other previous one as if they were mine, and therefore will ask that this bill be allowed to do the second reading, that Abia State should also have College of Education in the state as is being provided by other states. That will help us to believe that they are in Nigeria, that they are partakers of Nigeria, that they are also part of our both sovereign wealth and the national cake. Excluding them will not be what is good for the Uganda is good for the East. I therefore I want to use a whatever. I therefore, without wasting more legislative time and so on, I say that the thing be given a passage for the second reading. At that level, the committee will be able to fine-tune it and look at all the facilities. I think Bahadia will also feel happy. I so submit, Mr. Speaker.
It's just the same thing with the other bill that we've taken. So I'll put a question, and the question is the bill be now read the second time. Those in favor of the motion say aye. Those against it say nay. The ayes have it. Clerk is invited to read the long title of the bill.
Honorable Speaker, honorable members, a bill for an act to establish Federal College of Education, Akwete, Abia State, to provide for full-time courses, teaching instructions and teaching in technology and training in technology, applied science, arts, social sciences, humanities, and management, and for related matters. Second reading.
Bill referred to Committee on Tertiary Education Services. The fifth order of the day is commencement of debate on the general principle of Bill for an Act to establish a Center for Scientific Research into Plant Medicine and for related matters, standing in the name of Honorable James Abiodun Faleke. Honorable members will recall the bill was read the first time on Thursday, 12 October 2017. Now I invite Honorable Faleke to move the bill be now read the second time.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Sorry, honorable colleagues, I lost my voice, but I will manage to speak. I move for a bill for an act to establish a Center for Scientific Research into Plant Medicine and for related matters, HB 1172, and so moved for second reading. Thank you.
Honorable Chris.
Thank you, the Right Honorable Speaker, my distinguished colleagues. I remain Honorable Chris Emeka Azubog, representing Newi North, Newi South, and Ebusigo Federal Constituency from Anambra State. Mr. Speaker, I rise to second that the bill be read for a second time. I so second.
Honorable Faleke, please lead the debate.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My name is James Abiodun Faleke. I represent Ikeja Federal Constituency. I'm from Lagos State. Mr. Speaker, honorable members, I seek for your support to allow that the bill to create and establish a Center for Scientific Research into Plant Medicine be read the second time. This bill, if approved by members, will lead to establishment of this center, which is necessary to be able to carry out research into our plants, which can be used by industries in this country, can be used by businesses in this country, rather than our plants for medicines being taken outside the country to be used, to be analyzed. Here, if we have a center in Nigeria, which we are blessed with abundant plants, that in the olden days, extractions are made by our forefathers and they used in curing diseases. But over time, we have relied on imported drugs, most of the time that are fake, and when we use it, they are never effective. But today, if this center is there, to be able to establish, to be able to analyze generally all the plants that we have. I give an example. The assassinate drugs. The founder of the assassinate drugs is a Chinese woman, which carry out a research on certain plants. And this Chinese woman, of course, the plants are available in Nigeria, but here we neglect it. And these are traditional medicine practitioners. They have their own way. They know these leaves. They know these plants. But there are no scientific backing for their work. So what we are saying is that if we have this center created, it will help in assisting to determine so many plants that we have that are capable of curing so many diseases. I want to seek your support, honorable members, to allow that this bill be read the second time. And when it gets to the public hearing stage, we can then deliberate more about it. Thank you very much.
Honorable Chris.
Thank you, the Right Honorable Speaker. My distinguished colleagues, I am Chris Emeka Azubog, representing Newi North, Newi South, and Ekusigo Federal Constituency. Mr. Speaker, I rise to lend my support that this bill be read for second time because the research and development of our plants for medicine will help us to develop what we usually have. Plants are sources of food, and plants converted into medicine properly through research and development will help us to utilize what we have, especially with respect of diversification. We are talking of trying to conserve our foreign reserve, create job opportunities, and utilize what we have naturally to develop the need we have. If you look at the amount of import of pharmaceutical and medical supplies we do annually, it is quite high. And some of the diseases we suffer here are as a result of what we eat or our environment. And nature has a way of providing solutions and cures for a particular ailment from within the environment, because it is very natural. And I believe that the application of research and development into those medicinal plants will help us to develop human capacity, will help us to utilize what nature has given to us to ensure that we provide proper care. The two key major social provisions we have in the country, health and education, we must develop our local capacity to provide it for ourselves instead of depending. Take, for instance, the issue of vaccines that we are trying to utilize in the country. We always depend on imported vaccines. But if proper research is done locally, we can extract what is needed to provide enough vaccines, and we cannot depend on AIDS totally. And if we develop our capacity, we can provide for our neighbors. The whole of Africa and sub-Saharan Africa can depend on Nigeria. We are blessed with abundant plants, and a lot of them are even exported. Like any other thing we do in Nigeria, when you export basic raw material, and it is processed by other labs and returned back to Nigeria, you pay over 10 times the value of what you got from exportation of the raw material. Local plants that are exported, you can export to the tune of about $2 billion, but when you import pharmaceuticals into the country made from the same plant, you pay well over $15 to $20 billion. So we are looking at developing capacity, local capacity, using technology to utilize what we have, to develop what we need. It will conserve foreign exchange, it will create jobs for us, and it will give us timely prevention of diseases and supplies that we need locally. And these are the things we need to become a sustainable nation. So I am supporting that this bill be read for second time. And if all this passes through, my distinguished colleagues, at the public hearing level, most of the details of what needs to be done to perfect this, because it will help us as a nation. Thank you.
Any more contribution? Okay, Honorable Jega.
Honorable Speaker, my honorable colleagues, I'm Mohammed Umar Jega, representing Gondu Aleru Jega constituency from Kebbi State. Honorable Speaker, I rise to support the second reading of this bill for the establishment of the Center for Plant Medicine in the country. This bill is very important in such a way that most of the developed and developing countries have integrated the plant medicine into their health delivery system. We are therefore recommending the integration of this system so that the country can benefit from the enormous advantages, enormous skills and medicines that can be obtained from the plants in this country. If this is done, this will give the technical know-how
to our people, and it will equally develop some medicinal plants which can create a lot of jobs, which can alleviate poverty in the national context for development. We are therefore supporting the second reading of this bill so that it can be passed into law. I therefore call on my colleagues to support the second reading of this bill. I so support Honorable Speaker. Thank you.
I'll put the question. The question is that the bill be now read the second time. Those in favor of the motion say aye. Those against it say nay. Ayes have it. Clerks invited to read the long title of the bill.
Honorable Speaker, honorable members, a bill for an act to establish a Center for Scientific Research to plan medicine and for related matters. Second reading.
Bill referred to Committee on Science and Technology. Sixth order of the day, honorable colleagues, the motion on rescission, the House resolution on the report of the Committee on Local Content and Investigation in the provision of indigenous support vessel, Total Upstream Nigeria Limited, Total PLC, tender for provision of PVC and terminal support, pursuant to Order 9, Rule 16 of the Standing Orders of the House of Representatives, standing in the name of Honorable Femi Bajabia Miller. Honorable Femi is now invited to move the motion.
Mr. Speaker, if I may, Mr. Speaker, this motion has actually already been moved, and the chair, the speaker of the day, the deputy speaker, had given a ruling. The matter had been debated thoroughly, and the ruling from the chair, based on the Constitution, was that the committee or the chairman of the committee should bring to the floor the resolution of the House that required or that mandated the committee to investigate the matter. So, and if that was not done, that the matter will be rescinded. So I guess we're just waiting for the House resolution wherein the issue was sent to the committee for investigation, absent which the matter will be rescinded. The matter had been debated weeks ago.
Honorable Bonta, are you in charge of House resolutions? So I don't know what perspective you want to add to this.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. On the very day in question, the Deputy Speaker presided. I'm afraid the House leader did not say exactly what was read. The record will show, and also the rules of business brought it, that I said this matter was referred effectively to the public petition. And the ruling was that the rules of business should provide the date on which it was referred. And he did provided the date. I mean, provided the date. I also have that votes and procedures here on that date. And it was agreed that upon that date, they be allowed to conclude what with their job. That's what we agreed. I will be guided by the votes and procedures of that day. Not that the man of local country should bring. No, he said the contention was that when was it referred? And Rules and Business came here with that the Boncockler. So I want him to speak on it. That is the true version. I'm guided by our rules and procedures. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Chairman, Rules and Business, please, where are we on this matter?
Now, what I can recall, thank you, Mr. Speaker. Okay, Jeff, I represent the group of people from Benue State. What I recall is that on that day, as the debate was going on, Honorable Abonta rose to say that there is a similar matter that had been, referred to his committee in form of a petition. In form of a petition. So at the end of the day, the debate was deferred, and Rules and Business was to bring forward the date that he said the matter had been referred. We went into our records and brought, I think it was on the 15th of March, that a similar thing had been referred to. A similar thing, a petition, but this one we are talking about was slightly different. So what the House will come to is a different thing. What I was supposed to do, what Rules and Business was supposed to do was to find out whether indeed a matter of that nature had been referred to petition. And indeed, we found out that a matter with similar facts had been referred to public petition on that day. I think that's all that I can say for now.
What should we do based on that? You are the chief interpreter of the rules.
Well, motions are not referred to, what I know is that motions are not referred to public petitions. It is petitions that are referred to public petitions. So, in this case, what if the House would resign and Honorable Abonta will go on with the work that he says, that indeed, from the record shows that was referred to public petition. Because this is a motion. It cannot be referred to public petition. We are talking about a motion that was brought forward to resign a matter that was handled by this House. There are two different matters.
I'm even more confused. Leader.
Let me try as best as I can to simplify this case. Mr. Speaker, what happened was that there was a report that was considered, that was relayed and considered by this House as its practice and as is in the Constitution, which we read out on the day, which made it very clear, abundantly clear. No report could have been laid and considered by this House, an investigative report, if that investigation was not mandated by the House or by a House resolution. That was the problem. And the chairman of business or the chairman of local contest was asked to bring the resolution of the House which mandated the investigation which brought about this report. And that is what we're waiting for. Like he rightly said, it could not have been referred to public petitions, because public petition does not bring a report to lay on the floor, an investigative report. That's a different matter entirely. And the fact that he was able to bring a resolution or a referral from the House to public petitions on something similar shows that there was no mandate. He could only find one, and that is a public petitions referral to him. Then he could not find anything to do with local contents, investigative, no motion, none. And we cannot act like that in this House. There's a precedent. Otherwise, people will not bring motions. Committees will just sit down and start investigating and bring reports. We cannot. And then the Constitution is very clear. Section 88, 89. Any investigative report must be premised on the resolution of the House and gazetted. And that's where we are. So I believe at this point, if there is no such resolution, the matter should just be receded and sent to whatever committee to look at it all over again.
Honorable Chidoka, you have a contrary opinion? Well, I think it's quite straightforward. No, it is. Okay, Abonta.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you for talking again. I agree with the position of the leader, but I want to put the thing clear. It's not a referral on similar matter. It's a referral on the same faults. The matter is the same, the issue involved is the same, the parties are same. Refer, this is the paper here, if you look at the report. But I agree, I'm in support that the decision can go on. But putting the matter straight, it's not on similar matter. putting the matter straight, not that they asked local content body to bring resolution, they said, show us where the referral came to public petition. And our votes and proceedings is the conclusive evidence of 15th March 16. Therefore, I'm in agreement that what the decision should be, if we found out there's an error, the decision be, it's left for us to continue or not to. But I agree that should be rescinded and as is argued. I'm trying to put the matter straight. Yes, it affects me. So that is it. I'm in agreement that, yes, do the decision because the House deems it fit based on emerging facts. As the leader opined that day, say based on emerging facts, therefore let there be decision. Then I said, well, we have done this matter. When the other one came, we felt there was no need to have also continued because the House cannot be seen to be doing we even did an entire report and said, conclude within so period. And so that's the matter. So the House can exercise the inherent jurisdiction to do the needful, or otherwise it's subjective. So I want to put the matter very, very clear.
Okay, you know, there's this constitutional right to freedom from double jeopardy. If a committee of the House has seriously looked into this matter, I don't know what would be the effect of another committee calling the same persons again, doing the same kind of hearing. So I don't think it's an issue we can resolve here. Even if we're rescinding this, we need to take a hard and long look at this so that we don't infringe on anyone's constitutional right. So, but Honorable Ima, who conducted this investigation, do you want to add anything? Or the position that we've been told is the position? Do you have any resolution that authorized your committee to investigate? Was it done pursuant to a House resolution or just in furtherance of your powers of oversight?
Hi. Emmanuel Ekon is my name. I represent Abape Timebuika Federal Constituency of Akwa Ibom State. Mr. Speaker, this issue was raised the first time, second time, and I did tell the House that what we got was a petition from the parties involved. And I brought that petition to your office, and it was just minuted for us to investigate. And that was what we used for the investigation. I was mandated by the Speaker. And if the procedure was wrong, well, I don't know what to say, but that was what we did. We did investigation based on what your signature that you mandated us to do.
Well, the Speaker doesn't give mandate for public hearings. If I say you should investigate, all I'm saying is that if you're able to discover that there is something that is triable, something that is worth considering, then you come to the House for a resolution for you to investigate it.
It wasn't a public investigation. And what we did, when we had the report of the investigation, we brought it to this House. We laid the report in the House, and it was also considered by the same House.
There's a mistake in procedure, really. We want to say this for the benefits of us all. What information do you want to give Chidoka?
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker, honorable colleagues, Obena Chidoka, Idemili North, Idemili South, Federal Constituency. Mr. Speaker, with all sense of responsibility, I think what leader is trying to do is to set the record straight that probably the foundation upon which the report came was not right. But the information is this: if the House had mandated the committee to do this and say there is a house, tear down this house and then move out the debris, which is what the committee has done. To do this decision, you are trying to say, go back and build that house back again. It's taking over 5 years for us to arrive at where we are today. So for us to receive this decision and go back, we mean to bring the Nigerian government and the JV partners back to status quo where we were 5 years ago. And I think that's where the issue is, sir. That this House are taking this decision, and that will not suffice, like you rightly said. Now it's double jeopardy. The companies have cancelled all the things like Imaecon's committee has done, And you want to go back and say, that house that they destroyed, go back and bring that house again and start all over. That is double jeopardy, sir. And the rights and privileges of people who are involved will have been breached by these processes. And I think that once we do that, based on the foundation that is not right, will now jeopardize on the rights of those who have started the process again. This person will not be procured in another 10 years if we go by this process, sir. That's what.
Well, Honorable Chidoka, for me this matter is straightforward, and if we have taken a decision that is not in line with our rules, there's no basis for that decision. Certainly there's no basis for it. So it doesn't matter what has transpired. And we can't sustain something that is taken in violation of our own standing orders. We cannot do that. I totally agree with you that maybe parties have changed positions. And if they have changed position and it's difficult for them to go back to status quo ante, and so be it. But the point is that we can't keep it in our record books that we took a decision against the provision of our standing orders and we're sustaining that decision. But where parties have changed position to a point that is impossible for them to go back, and so be it. We cannot change that. Even the courts, they can't do anything about that. So I guess the debate is concluded, was concluded, and conclusively we've established that we've gone against the grain of our precedents and practice here. And in the future, even if I mean it that as chairman of committee should investigate something, it doesn't mean that once you have done it, you can bring the report to the floor for consideration. It's just meant for you to establish whether the matter is worth inquiring into. And having established that, you come with a motion for what is it called? For a House resolution to empower you to investigate. In fact, under the Constitution, it's just that resolution that gives you the power to even summon people and compel witnesses to attend. Without that, you don't have the powers to compel attendance at the investigative hearing and so on and so forth. So it was a mistake, and we have to be honorable to admit that we made that mistake and excise it from our records. So there's nothing like soft landing. The only soft landing is that no committee is doing any assignment in relation to this as of now. Both the Committee on Public Petition and this one. So we're rescinding based on the fact that it went against our standing orders, and then we'll look as to the right of the individuals involved in this, their right to, what is it called? Double jeopardy, that you are investigating them on the same subject matter twice. It costs them a lot of money to be traveling up and down. So we need to look at the propriety of redoing it before we can now saddle the responsibility, any committee with the responsibility of taking over that. So I'll put the question. Those in favor of the motion say aye. Those against it say nay. The ayes have it. Ranking by age. We want to stand on illegality. Seventh order of the day is a motion on discharge of committees on referrals on bills pursuant to Order 17, Rule 3G of the Standing Orders of the House of Representatives, standing in the name of Honorable E.Y. Okejeff. Honorable Okejeff is now invited to move the motion.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Okejeff, I represent the group of Uruku, my dear colleagues. I'm from Benue State. Mr. Speaker, this is a motion to discharge committees on referral on bills pursuant to Order 17, Rule 3G of the Standing Order of the House of Representatives. The House notes that the following bills were read a second time separately between 2015 and 2016 and referred to standing committees of the House for legislative actions, namely Freedom of Information Act Amendment Bill 2015, BH B40, referred on the 18th of November 2015, Federal Inland Registry Miscellaneous Provisions Act Amendment B 2015, HB 52, referred on the 24th of November 2015. 3. Nigerian Minerals and Mining Act Amendment B 2015, HB 88, referred on the 26th of November 2015. 4. Nigerian Police Academy Amendment Bill 2015, HB 115, referred on the 2nd of December 2015. 5. Federal Capital Territory Trust Fund Establishment Bill 2015, HB 148, referred on the 9th of December 2015. 6. Kidney Transplant Bill 2015, HB 153, referred on the 16th of December 2015. 7. Commodities Exchange Bill 2015, HB 31, referred on the 14th of January 2016. Federal 8. Interpretation Act Amendment Bill 2015, HB 137, referred on the 14th of January 2016. 9. Federal Capital Territory College of Agriculture Establishment Bill 2015, HB 309, referred on the 21st of January 2016. 10. FCT University of Science and Technology, Abaji Establishment Bill 2015, HB 145, referred on the 16th of February 2016. 11. Sales of Good Act Repeal Bill 2016, HB 371, referred on the 1st of March 2016. 12. Defense Industry Corporation of Nigeria Bill 2016, HB 399, referred on the 3rd of March 2016. 13. Survey Coordination Act Amendment Bill 2016, HB 366, referred on the 17th of March 2016. 14. National Institute of Credit Administration Establishment Bill 2016, HB 425, referred on the 21st of April 2016. 15. National Eye Center Bill 2016, HB 356, referred on the 21st of April 2016. 16. National Security and Defense and Civil Defense Corps Act Amendment Bill 2016, HB 416, referred on the 14th of July 2016. 18. Border Patrol Agents Bill 2016, HB 524, referred on the 20th July 2016. And finally, Trafficking in Persons Prohibition Law Enforcement and Administration Act Amendment Bill 2016, HB 614, referred on the 28th of September 2016. Aware that the committees are yet to present reports on the bills contrary to the provisions of Order 17 Rule 3G of the Standing Orders of the House of Representatives, to which any matter referred to any committee shall be treated within 30 days. Otherwise, the committee shall stand discharged after 60 days and the matter committed to the Committee of the Whole for consideration. Resolved to discharge the committee mentioned above from the referrals of those bills and commit sent to the Committee of the Whole for consideration. Mr. Speaker, my dear colleagues, I so move.
Seconder, Honorable M.T. Munguna.
Honorable Speaker, honorable members, my name is Mohamed Tahir Munguno. I represent Martin Munguno, Ganze Federal Constituency of Borno State. I hereby second the motion as ably moved by the Chairman Rules and Business Committee.
Those in favor of the motion say aye. Those against it say nay. Ayes have it. Eighth order of the day, honorable colleagues, a motion on call for rehabilitation of Onitsha Uwere Road, standing in the name of Honorable Obinna Chidoka. Honorable Chidoka is now invited to move the motion.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker, honorable colleagues. My name is Chidoka, representing Idemili North, Idemili South Federal Constituency of Anambra State. Mr. Speaker, Honorable House, I rise this afternoon to move for a motion for a call for rehabilitation of the Onitsha-Owerri Road. The House notes that some sections of the Onitsha-Owerri Road, which links the commercial city of Onitsha to Port Harcourt through Owerri, have failed and require urgent rehabilitation to prevent further deterioration and return to the hardship and nightmare of the past when motorists were spending long hours to get to their destinations. Also notes that the entire Southeast and South-South zones had experienced increased economic activities with the reconstruction of the road as businessmen and farmers were able to convey goods and farm products to various markets in the zones and beyond with relative ease. Aware that the nature of the soil in the southeast makes the failed sections of the road acutely vulnerable to gully erosion, as a result, if urgent rehabilitation works are not carried out, the road might become impassable and will require huge cash outlay to reconstruct. Desirous of sustaining the relief being enjoyed by motorists who ply the road as well as the economic gains of businessmen and farmers who rely on the road to move their goods and farm products to various markets across the country. The House therefore resolves to call on the Federal Roads Maintenance Agency, FEMA, to commence rehabilitation of the failed sections of the Onitsha-Owerri Road to prevent further deterioration and also undertake routine assessment of all roads under its purview and carry out routine preventive maintenance of these roads, and also mandate the committees of Federal Road Maintenance Agency, Works and Appropriations to make provisions for the rehabilitation of the Onitsha-Owerri Road in the 2018 budget. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues. I so move.
Honorable Tony.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My name is Dr. Tony Moye, representing the people of Anambra Federal Constituency. Mr. Speaker, I hereby second the motion as it concerns the Enugu-Owerri Road as ably moved by Honorable Chidoka. I so call Mr. Speaker. Thank you. Onitsha-Owerri Road, I so second, Mr. Speaker.
It's a motion bordering on infrastructure in line with the provisions of a relevant rule. I'll put the question. Those in favor of the motion say aye. Those against it say nay. Ayes have it. Ninth order of the day is a motion on need to investigate fraudulent activities in the housing sector, standing in the name of Honorable Joseph Edonwele. Honorable Joseph is now invited to move the motion. Chairman, rules of business.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise to move that item number 9 on the order paper be stepped down as Honorable Edonwele apparently is not on the floor. I so move.
Motion stepped down by leave of the House. 10th order of the day, honorable colleagues, a motion on need to investigate the level of implementation of Cassava Bread Fund, CBF, standing in the name of Honorable Ibrahim Ayokunle Isaka. Honorable Isaka is now invited to move the motion.
Thank you very much, the Right Honorable Speaker. Distinguished honorable members, Ibrahim Ayokunle Isaka is my name. I represent the very good people of Ifo, Iwifo Federal Constituency. I'm from the Gateway State to Nigeria. I'm from Ogun State, Mr. Speaker. It is my pleasure, Mr. Speaker, rising to move this all-important motion on the need to investigate the level of implementation
implementation of Cassava Bread Fund, popularly known as CBF. The House notes the introduction of 15% levy in 2012 on every wheat imported into Nigeria with the promise to use the proceeds of the tariff to develop a local content industry, cassava bread value chain. Also notes that the 15% levy was introduced with the buy-in of all the three national stakeholders associations, which necessitated a 20% increase in the price of bread in the year 2012 due to corresponding increase of 1,000 naira in the price of wheat flour by flour millers in direct reaction to the levy for the implementation of this local content policy fund towards cassava flour inclusion. Further notes the inauguration of a committee in 2013 after a similar one in the Caribbean country of Trinidad and Tobago to guide the fund management, operations and disbursement of the first tranche of 9.999 billion naira out of the then balance of 200 billion naira based on approved proposals. Aware that the Cassava Bread Fund is estimated to have accumulated over $500 billion naira as at date for building a robust and fresh fruits supply chain for small, medium, and large cassava processing plants, support to large/medium high-quality cassava flour, which we call HQCF, mills, support SMEs producing high-quality cassava flour to master bakers on 20% cassava bread production and social marketing of 20% cassava bread. Preemptive measures against cassava brown streak disease to upscale about 5,000 bakers, training and support for at least 6 bakers per local government area across the 774 local government areas in Nigeria, and to engage professional advertising companies or consultants on branding cassava bread under the social marketing component. The House is also informed of the estimation that cassava farmers lost investments in excess of 360 million naira due to breakdown in the value chain necessitated by non-implementation of the program within a year. The House is concerned that 536.54 million naira worth of employment for our youth and women, which hitherto were exported to Europe and USA, will have been made available at 20% inclusion of cassava flour daily, thereby reducing the rate of unemployment in Nigeria. The House is also aware that a 20% inclusion level, the GDP of Nigeria will have been enhanced by 195.84 billion annually with the transformation of the lives of the rural poor, who will form the bedrock of formation of new crop of wealthy Nigerians. The House is concerned about the loss of investment of over 10 billion naira in the past 5 years across the value chain and 10 million additional job opportunities across the entire cassava bread fund stakeholders. Yet, the annual wheat importation into Nigeria is $3.2 billion yearly. That is 979.2 billion naira at just 306 naira exchange rate per dollar. While Nigeria spends over 8.7 million, that's about 2.6 billion daily, totaling about 3.886 trillion for the past 4 years of wheat importation,
which is not sustainable in the face of dwindling revenue from oil. The House is therefore resolving that mandating the committees on agricultural production and services and banking and currency to quit. 1. Carry out an investigative audit of the releases, cumulative contributions, owings, and level of implementation of the Cassava Bread Fund program. 2. Examine the losses suffered by Cassava Bread Growers Association and the value chain therein with a view to compensating stroke encouraging them. And thirdly, determine modalities for rejuvenating the Cassava Bread Growers Program and report back within 6 weeks for further legislative action. I so move, Mr. Speaker. Thank you very much, sir.
Honorable Shoibu.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, my dear honorable colleagues. My name is Abdurrahman Shaibu. I represent Mobi North, Mobi South, and my Africa constituency. I'm from Adamawa State. I rise, Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, to second this very important matter moved by Honorable Ishaq Ibrahim. I so second.
This motion is investigative, but I'll give Honorable Ishaq just 2 minutes to round up his debate.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. But that's why I made it so explicit, straightforward, and comprehensive that this area of sector of the economy of Nigeria, because immediately after oil, we talk about this agriculture, and that is why the core cardinal points of the program of this present administration talking about the diversification of the economy. One cannot wish away the contribution of cassava in nearly all pharmaceutical and food processing companies in Nigeria, and we can now imagine how this can contribute into the employment profile for our youth and our women. Besides, consumption of even bread alone, agege bread, for instance in Lagos, that they produce can feed the entire nation. Because in agege alone, we are made to understand that average of 1.2 million loaves of bread are consumed in Lagos. Just in Lagos alone, every 3 hours. If you multiply this by the price they sell it, one can imagine how much in terms of economic value this can contribute into the country. Then all over the country, hardly a soil in this Nigeria that you drop a cassava stem and it's not going to grow, because it's very friendly to the weather and then the soil texture we have in Nigeria. So if the government is now able to use what they have opened, the floodgates of the fund to encourage the farmers, which they have now suspended, and which, to what we understood, they are trying to divert this same fund for another purpose. That is why this motion is coming up. So we have to nip it at the bud before the money they are marked for this program is diverted for another program, which to me and majority of the people that are concerned about why this motion is coming up, what we are mostly concerned about is that we have not seen any genuine reason why the fund they are marked for this cassava bread flour should be diverted for another program in this country. They can source for another money to do that, but not the money meant for growing of cassava. And that is why we're calling for the investigation and trying to stop it before it really happens. And that is why the respective committees, those that in agriculture and that of the finance, that are capable of looking into the scenario. That's why I brought this motion on this floor to let them examine, investigate, and then come up to the House to let us know why the government is not ready to fund this program. sustainable it's going to be for our farmers to encourage them on this cassava bread. So I want to appeal to you to support the motion and subject it to respective committees for further investigation. I still submit, Mr. Speaker. Thank you very much, sir.
So it's investigative, and I'll put the question. Those in favor of the motion say aye. Those against it say nay. Ayes have it. 11th order of the day, honorable colleagues, the motion on need to carry out a comprehensive audit of the internally generated revenues, IGRs, and remittances in the Federation account by federal medical centers, teaching hospitals, and other tertiary health institutions, specialist hospitals across the country from 2011 to 2017, standing in the name of Honorable Solomon Bulus Mare. Honorable Mare is now invited to move the motion.
Mr. Speaker, I rise to move that item number 11 on the order paper be stepped down. Honorable Mare informed me that he is not likely to go on with the motion. He asked that I step it down for him. And so I move that the item is stepped down.
Item stepped down by leave of the House. The next order is the supplement to the order paper. There's just one item there, which is rescission on the adoption of the report and bill for an act to further amend the Electoral Act number 6 of 2010 and for matters connected therewith, HBs 165, 174, 220, 429, 468, 484, 809, and 966, pursuant to Order 9, Rule 16 of the Standing Orders of the House of Representatives. Now, honorable colleagues, the reason why we're taking this motion is not because of any fundamental mistake that was made, but we want to recommit it to the Committee of Whole so that we can take a very, very serious look at some of the salient provisions in the amendment that we have made and be satisfied as people who will be bound to all intents and purposes by the provision of this law to a point whereby we can tell ourselves and congratulate ourselves by the time we pass it that we have done something that is exceptionally good. It is important that we do that. So when we recommit it to Committee of the Whole, I think there's no way we can pass it today in view of the fact that we're breaking to reconvene on the 9th of January for committee activities, public hearings on the budget, while we suspend plenary till the 16th of January. So by the time we come back on the 16th, would have been done taking a very critical look at the provisions of all the new electoral act that we want to pass. And we may set up a small committee apart from the main committee so that we'll look at it with the main committee and see to some of the issues that have been raised based on what we have done so far. So there's nothing fundamentally wrong with what we have done, just that to be triple sure that what we have done will serve our best individual and collective interests, not just that of honorable members, but the entire Nigerian politicians who want to run for offices at the next elections. So I now call on Honorable Iwe Okejef to move the motion.
Much obliged, Mr. Speaker. I'm Okejef and I represent the good people of Buruku, Nigeria Police, and from Benue State. The House notes that on Tuesday, 5th December 2017, the report of the Committee on Electoral and Political Party Matters on a bill for an act to further amend the Electoral Act number 6 of 2010 and for matters connected therewith was considered and adopted. Also notes the need to pass an electoral law that will stand the test of time to meet the yearnings and aspirations of Nigeria. Desirous to resign the decision of the House on the entire report as early adopted in order to enable the House to further scrutinize the recommendation. The House therefore resolved to sign the decision of the House on the adoption of the report on a plea for an act to further amend the Electoral Act No. 6 of 2010 and for matters connected therewith, and to recommit same to the Committee of the Whole for further legislative action. Mr. Speaker, I therefore so move.
Honorable Moaz, okay, Moaz, you are now on your seat. Ahmed Yarima, please second. Honorable Yarima is now on his seat, okay. Honorable Arabo, are you sure you are on your seat?
Yes. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My colleague Simon Arabo is my name. I represent Confederate. I like to second the motion as moved by Honorable KJ as a second.
Those in favor of the motion say aye. Those against it say nay. Evelyn, can you go and take it? The ayes have it. 12th order of the day, honorable colleagues, consideration of report of the Committee on Electoral and Political Party Matters with bill for an act to establish the Nigerian Electoral Offences Commission and for related matters. Honorable members will recall the report was laid on Thursday, 27 July 2017. Honorable Aishatu Jibril Duku will move for its consideration. Pardon? Okay. You want to step down so that we take everything at the same time?
No, based on what OKJF has moved, we said the entire report. So these two bills are part of those, the report.
Oh, it's the entire report. But this one, there was no adoption on this, so we were rescinding what we have already adopted. So, but if we are not ready to take it today, we can rescind it and take it when we come back. But on this one, I think we did some work on it yesterday, and they were satisfied that what they have can best serve the interests of politicians in the country. But if we are rescinding it, we'll come back in January. Just move that we rescind it and we'll move on. No rescinding, but we stepped it down.
Honorable Speaker, honorable colleagues, I rise to move that we step down the consideration of the Electoral Act amendments to further citizens. I so move.
Seconder, Honorable Ashuru Mani.
Second, Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, Ashuru Mani is my name, member representing the government. I am from Kansas State. I rise to second the motion that given by my colleague Aisha Duku, and I saw second. Thank you.
Those in favor of the motion say aye. Those against it say nay. The ayes have it. Honorable Zakari, what is your beef? No. They go and be the acting with you if you want to whip members. You will not. The 13th order of the day is consideration of two reports of the Committee on Commerce. Honorable members will recall the reports were laid on Thursday, 12 October 2017 and Thursday, 23rd November 2017. Honorable Sylvester Obega will move for the consideration of the reports.
Honorable Speaker, honorable colleagues, remain Honorable Sylvester Obega, representing Abakaliki Zifra constituency from Ebony State. I move that the House do consider the report of the Committee on Commerce in the bill for an act to establish the Chartered Institute of Logistics and Transport of Nigeria, with responsibility of, among other things, determining the standard of knowledge, skill, qualifications for persons seeking to become registered professionals and practitioners in logistics and transport in Nigeria, and licensing and regulating the practice of logistics and transport in all ramifications, and for related matters, and approve recommendation herein. As So moved. The second one, Mr. Speaker, is that the House do consider report of the Committee on Commerce on a bill for hand to amend the Oil and Gas Export Free Zones Authority Act, caps 05 laws of the Federation of Nigeria, 2004, to provide for the designation, establishment of oil and gas free zones in Nigeria, and for related matters, and approve the recommendation therein. And so moved, Mr. Speaker.
Seconder, Deputy Minority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise to second. I'm Chukwuka Onye, my representative of our federal constituency of Anambra State. I rise to second that the report will be submitted by the Committee on Commerce to be considered. I so second, Mr. Speaker.
I put the question. Those in favor of the motion say aye. Those against it say nay. Ayes have it. 14th order of the day, honorable colleagues, consideration report of Committee on Internally Displaced Persons, IDPs, Refugees and Initiatives of the Northeast Zone on the bill for an act to repeal the National Commission for Refugees Act Chapter N21, Laws of the Federation of Nigeria 2004, and re-enact the National Commission for Internally Displaced Persons, Refugees, Stateless, and other persons of concern to provide a framework for durable solutions to victims of displacement and for related matters. Honorable members will recall the report was laid on Thursday, 30th November 2017. Honorable Member, Honorable Muhammad Sani Zoro will now move for its consideration. Honorable Sani Zoro. I thought I saw him. Okay.
Mr. Speaker, Honorable Sani Zoro is no longer on the floor. I therefore move that we step down item number 15 on the order of so moved.
Item step down by leave of the House. 15th order of the day is consideration report of the Committee on Information, National Orientation, Ethics and Values, Bill for an Act to repeal the Nigerian Film Corporation Act, Chapter N109, Laws of the Federation of Nigeria 2004, and re-enact the Nigerian Film Commission Act 2017 to regulate and develop the film industry in Nigeria for related matters. Honorable members will recall the report was laid on Thursday, 15 June 2017. Honorable Adebumi Olusegun will move for its consideration.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Adebumi Olusegun is my name. I represent the good people of Mr. Speaker, I want to seek the indulgence of the House to step this consideration of the reports down for another legislative bill. I so move, Mr. Speaker.
Item step down by leave of the House. 16th order of the day is consideration report of the Committee on Science and Technology on the bill for an act to establish National Biotechnology Development Agency and for related matters. Honorable members will recall the report was laid on Thursday, 28 September 2017. Honorable Benilad will move for its consideration.
Mr. Speaker, I rise to move that item number 17 on the order of the step down. Honorable Benny was here, but obviously she's no longer on the floor. I so move.
Item step down by leave of the House. 17th order of the day is consideration report of the Committees on Petroleum Resources, Upstream, and Public Procurement and the investigation into the $260 million contract awarded by the National Petroleum Investment Management Services, NAPIMS. Honorable members will recall the report was laid on Wednesday, 28 December 2017. Honorable Victor Nwokolo will move for its consideration. Honorable Nwokolo.
Well, Mr. Speaker.
Okay. Honorable Jones said he wants to move for him. Okay. Chairman, Rules and Business.
Well, Honorable Jones is a member of the committee and we can move in the absence of.
There are two committees here, Petroleum Upstream and Public Procurement. Honorable Jones is a member of which of the two? Look at Public Procurement seated there. No, if you are not ready to take the report, we can adjourn, we can step it down, please. Honorable Jones, are you in a position to present the report for consideration? Pardon? Chairman, Rules and Business, please step it down.
Mr. Speaker, I rise to move that the last item on the order paper be stepped down. I so move.
Item stepped down by leave of the House. This is the last item, so do we have, I think we have one or two reports to consider. Okay. Chairman, Rules and Business, please move that we dissolve the Committee of the Whole to consider the reports.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Okay, Jeff, I represent the two people of Madia Police and from Benue State. I rise to move that the House will resolve into the Committee of the Whole for the purpose of consideration of the reports. I so move.
Before I ask for secondment, let me read the list of conferees on constitutional review. Members of the conference committee are as follows: Honorable Edward Pajo Gyan, Honorable Adeyinka Ajayi, Honorable Sadiq Ibrahim, Honorable Aminu Shehu Shagari, Honorable Linda Ipezu, Honorable Diri Doye. I almost said Doya. Who is raising a point of order? Honorable Fijabi, what's your point of order? Okay. Point of order noted. Seconder to the motion that we dissolve in the Committee of the Whole to consider the reports. Acting Whip. Acting Whip is Gudaje now.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I remain Honorable Gudaje Katori. I rise to second that how we go to the Committee of the Whole. I so second.
Those in favor of the motion say aye. Those against it say nay. Ayes have it. House hereby resolved into Committee of the Whole to consider the report. To the clerk.
Honorable Gudaje, go and take your seat. Boazu, Sule Garo, Eyakwan. Aminu Mani, come back to your seat. Said Fijabi, Diri Doye, Emmanuel Uja, don't deplete this house. We are adjourning today. Please come back and we'll take the next 20 minutes to do our job. MS, Dr. MS Adu. Oluwole Oke, take your seat. Deputy Minority Whip. Diri, come back here. Come and take your seat.
Diri, come back to your seat.
Chief, we will first of all come to our party before we do.
Zakai Mohammed, keep quiet.
Go and take your seat. Honorable Garo, come and take your seat. Thank you. Honorable colleagues, the first report to be considered is that of the House Committee on Commerce on an act to establish the Chartered Institute of Logistics and Transport. Am I correct? Nigeria, with responsibility for, amongst others, determine the standard of knowledge, skill, and qualification of persons seeking to become registered professionals and practitioners in logistics and transport in Nigeria, and for licensing and regulating the practice of logistics and transport in all ramifications. And I invite the chairman of the committee to speak to the report. Please, 2 minutes.
Mr. Chairman, honorable colleagues, this bill was referred to the Committee on Commerce on 17th May 2017, and what the Institute sought from the House was to have a legal framework, and then their duties are to train members, provide expertise, and provide employment. We, as a committee, held public hearing on Thursday, 8 June 2017, where inputs of stakeholders were received. We are guided by similar laws to come at the points where a best required legal framework for the institute was provided. We adopted some of the provisions by the proposals made earlier in these bills and made some recommendations to some areas we felt do not meet the standard other extant laws of chartered institutes do not provide. Therefore, urge our dear colleagues to adopt these recommendations and give the institutes the due required legal framework to operate. So submit, Mr. Chairman.
Zachary Mohammed, okay, Jeff, please come back to your seat.
Thank you very much. This bill has 27 clauses, so we therefore go ahead to consider the clauses. Clause 1, clause 2, clause 3, clause 4, clause 5, clause 6, clause 7, clause 8, clause 9, clause 10, clause 11, clause 12, clause 13, clause 14, clause 15, clause 16, clause 17, clause 18, clause 19, clause 20, clause 21, clause 22, clause 23, clause 24, clause 25, clause 26, clause 27 interpretation, first schedule, second schedule, third schedule, explanatory memorandum, long title of the bill. Sorry, let me see if my own has clause 28. Let me see. Sorry, that's clause 28 with the short title. Sorry, clause 28 is carried too. The next report is that of is that report on commerce again on the bill for now to amend the Oil and Gas Export Free Zone Authority Act, Chapter 05, Laws of the Federation of Nigeria 2004, to provide for the designation and establishment of oil and gas free zone in Nigeria and for related matters. And I invite Chairman House Committee on Commerce to speak to the report.
Mr. Chairman, once again, my name is Honorable Sylvester Maga. I represent the Abakaliki Federal Constituency. I'm from Ebonyi State. This bill, Mr. Chairman, is a consolidated bill that has 3 versions. And all of them point to some difficulties in operation of the extant law. And what these bills sought to do was providing designation and establishment for oil and gas free zones in Nigeria. Public hearing was held on 6th July 2017, where that was highly attended by relevant stakeholders. There was restrictions provided by extant law on the issue of expansion, and the committee looked at all these, adopted some of the submissions of the key stakeholders, including interpretations, positions of general configuration, and other useful contribution by the experts and relevant stakeholders in this side of business for Nigeria. Speaker, if the House adopts the recommendations of the committee, it will also add values to ease of doing business in the free zones of this country. So I urge my colleagues to adopt these recommendations and give more bidders oil and gas resources authority in Nigeria. I so submit.
Thank you very much, Chairman. The bill has 27 clauses. We now therefore go ahead to consider the clauses. Clause 1, Clause 2, Clause 3, Clause 4, Clause 5, Clause 6, Clause 7, Clause 8, Clause 9, Clause 10, Clause 11, Clause 12, Clause 13, Clause 14, Clause 15, Clause 16, Clause 17, Clause 18, Clause 19, Clause 20, Clause 21, Clause 22, Clause 23, Clause 24, Clause 25, Clause 26, Interpretation, Clause 27, Short Title, First Schedule, Second Schedule, Explanatory memorandum, long title of the bill. Okay, Jeff.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I rise to move that the House move back to plenary for the use of
Fijabi.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I rise to second the motion moved by Chairman Bruce. I second.
The House hereby reverts back to plenary to report progress. honorable colleagues, the House in the Committee of the Whole consider the report of the Committee on Commerce on a bill for an act to establish the Chartered Institute of Logistics and Transport of Nigeria with responsibility, among others, for determining the standard of knowledge, skill, and qualification for persons seeking to become registered professionals and practitioners in logistics and transport in Nigeria, and licensing and regulating the practice of logistics and transport in all ramifications and for related matters, and approved clauses 1 to 28, the schedules, the explanatory memorandum, and long title of the bill. The House in the Committee of the Whole considered the report of the Committee on Commerce on a bill for an act to amend the Oil and Gas Export Free Zone Authority Act, Chapter 05, Laws of the Federation of Nigeria, 2004, to provide for the designation and establishment of oil and gas free zones in Nigeria and for other related matters, and approved clauses 1 to 27, the schedules, the explanatory memorandum, and long title of the bill. Chairman,
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise to move that the House will adopt the report as considered in the Committee of the Whole. I so move.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I rise to second the motion moved by Chairman Ruth.
Those in favor of the Those in favor of the motion say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Chairman, rules of business.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise to move that the House will adopt the votes and proceedings of today. I so move.
Fijabi.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I rise to second.
Honorable Fijabi, wake up. There is no chairman here. You are addressing the speaker.
Second the motion as moved by Jeff.
Those in favor of the motion that the votes and proceedings of today's sitting be adopted say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Chairman, rules and business. Fijabi does not know the job.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise to move that the House will adjourn to 9th day of January, the year of the Lord, 2018. I so move.
Everybody gather. Since you have more knowledge.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I Honorable Kadri, I second the motion that the House will adjourn to January 9th.
The House stands adjourned till the 9th of January 2017 and plenary adjourned the House stands adjourned till January 9, 2018 and plenary resumes January 16, 2018.